Navy of college lacrosse, Scott, and if you grew up in Baltimore, you didn't have to be a lacrosse fan to follow this rivalry, the most storied rivalry in the entire game.
Hopkins #1 in the land. They're undefeated at 8. Maryland #1 in the land, I should say, undefeated at 8-0. Hopkins at 6-2, ranked #6. Keith, let's take a look at some of the numbers these teams have compiled.
The statistics, Scott, very similar. Goals a game. Maryland 15, Hopkins 16. Go all the way down to goals allowed. And Maryland's defense averaging just 7 goals a game. Very stingy, very tough, very opportunistic. Extra man, Scott, could be a key tonight. Hopkins very opportunistic on the extra man, converting over 50% of their chances.
Our expert analyst tonight, Quint Kesenich, is with us right now. He played in this series. Hopkins class of 90, the All-American. What's it like for a player to be involved in this one?
This is the most exciting game of the year. This is a game you look down your schedule and you point to and you say, hey, Hopkins, Maryland, this is a game I want to have a big day in.
Quint, that Maryland attack, one of the finest in the nation. Talk about the guys up front.
Yeah, they're led by Matt Hahn. He's a senior. He's got 20 goals and 3 assists. He's a great shooter. They get the ball to him in front of the cage from close range. You see right here, he's dodging across the crease against Navy, but 20 goals, he can score. And really, the key to Hahn's game is his teammate, Whipple, who's the quarterback of the offense. You see, take a look at Matt Hahn right there, 20 goals, 3 assists. He is from Georgetown Prep in D.C. Now, his success, I think, has generated a lot from Whipple, who is an attackman behind the cage, and he likes to feed Hahn in front. He's got 17 assists. He wears #1 on his jersey. He's from Rochester, New York. 11 goals, 17 assists.
Keith, on the Hopkins side, certainly their midfield, one of their strengths, but they've got guys up front that they can also put it in the back of the net.
Yeah, Scott, not the names that Maryland has, but somewhat in the production. It's led by #8, Dylan Schlott this year. Hadn't played much in his Hopkins career prior to this year. 27 goals this year. He had 7 last week against Villanova. Now, Tony Seaman, the head coach at Hopkins, will tell you that their #1 midfield is the best in the country. It's led by #9, Andrew Godfrey of Long Island, New York. He's joined by Matt O'Kelly, #26, and A.J. Hogan. They play like the best. You see Andrew Godfrey, 12 goals and 6 assists. He's the anchor for the best midfield in the country, according to Tony Seaman.
Hopkins with 2 losses. Both of those losses came to teams that were ranked #1 in the land. Quint, as you know, the goalie position obviously can determine a game like this. Talk about the 2 goalies.
Yeah, goaltending in these games, very important. Maryland's got a kid by the name of Kevin Healy. He's in his first year. He actually wasn't expected to start this season. Sean Keenan went down with a broken thumb, and Healy has done a great job. Look at that save percentage, 67%. That is outstanding, but he has not faced a team with the shooters that Johns Hopkins has. He'll be tested tonight. And for Hopkins, they have Brian Carcaterra, who's a redshirt sophomore, one of the most exciting players in the country. His save percentage is about 60%. He likes to run around in front of the cage, right there making a save against North Carolina. Very exciting to watch. Keep your eyes on Carcaterra. He's extremely quick.
So there you have it, some of the key players in tonight's showdown. Maryland and Hopkins, the 93rd edition between these two. Back to take a look at the starting lineups right after this.
Hopkins Lacrosse is brought to you by Helix Health, a proud sponsor of the NCAA Lacrosse Championships and the new Dodge. See your local Dodge dealer today.
Credit the playful performance of a Dodge Dakota to its quick ratio steering and precision-tuned suspension. Dakota's a blast to drive, and this lease certainly won't dampen your enthusiasm. Here's a big surprise from the truck that's full of surprises. Buy a Dodge Dakota and get a Magnum V6 at no extra charge. So to satisfy your lust for more power, see the friendly Dodge dealer near you.
You still got 5 minutes.
He's going to blow the whistle here.
No.
Welcome back to Homewood Field. We're just about set to go. The Maryland Terrapins 8-0 on the year, ranked number 1 in the land. Hopkins 6-2. And Quentin Keith, we talk about the importance of face-offs. Let's address that before we get started here.
Both teams have had a lot of success this season. We'll see number 26 for Maryland, that's Haggerty, against the senior for Johns Hopkins, number 30, A.T. Bailey. Both teams will rotate a number of players in, but these are the primary face-off specialists.
Scott Bailey, injured for much of the year, came back a few weeks ago. Number 30 in white made a huge impact to Tony Seaman's Blue Jays.
And the ground ball controlled by Hopkins. Up ahead in the midfield. Blue Jays set it up. And the bouncer is wide and out of play.
Right off the bat, Scott, A.T. Bailey makes his presence felt, Quint, with a hard shot off the faceoff.
Yeah, Bailey's really added a lot. He missed 5 games, came back against North Carolina. Very smart player. He's a leader on offense for the Blue Jays.
And Hopkins retains possession. Just underway at Homewood Field. Maryland against Hopkins. Hopkins in possession with the ball in the wide. Dylan Schlott with it. Work it behind the goal. Kind of a feeling out process in the early going, guys, as they look for that early momentum.
The coaches like to have the offense throw the ball around a couple times so players get used to just used to the lighting and used to being out here in front of 10,000 fans.
Key matchup here on defense right now is Mike Bonani, number 27 in red, guarding Dudley Dixon. So it looks like, Quint, that he's Dick Adele putting his best defensive player on Dixon.
Matt O'Kelly behind the goal to Dudley Dixon. Dixon coming off knee surgery, had a brilliant year last year for Hopkins.
They want to point out to the viewers, Scott, there is no time limit to shoot in lacrosse, as we see a turnover right there. So Quint, first defensive possession, good for Maryland.
Hogan gave it up after the tough check.
Nice D by Brian Reese, St. Paul's graduate, now a senior at Maryland, made a nice check against Hopkins, and Maryland now will control.
Brian Zeller, number 10, a midfielder with it, hands it off to Frank Radin.
Yeah, Scott, there's 2 types of midfielders in the college lacrosse game, the offensive and the defensive midfielders. Maryland now has their offensive midfield, which is Frank Radin, Brian Zeller, and Bill Roll, while Quint Hopkins counters was their best defensive midfielders, which is Kevin Kaiser, number 10, and Paul Lasore, number 29.
Right, they're going to try to get those players on. Right now, their defensive specialists have not been able to get on the field. Players can substitute freely like in hockey. They can run off and run on for one another or on a dead ball.
Brian Zeller down on a good check, and Hopkins takes over. Coming in a hurry is Andrew Godfrey. Godfrey driving to the goal. And the pass errant as he tried to get it to Hogan. But Dixon will run it down and keep it in play.
Scott, Tony Seaman thinks that his number 1 midfield of Andrew Godfrey, Matt O'Kelly, and A.J. Hogan is the best in the country. And Quint, we just saw why. Andrew Godfrey, who could do a lot of things, play offense and defense. Not too much defense, though.
Godfrey actually can play good defense. O'Kelly and Hogan aren't as talented on the defensive end. But overall, that midfield unit is tough. We'll get a good look right here at Matt O'Kelly.
Here's O'Kelly. Bouncer bounces over the goal. Out of play.
And we want to point out, Scott, on a shot, the closest player to the ball when it goes out of bounds, that team retains possession. In this case, it was Dave Marks, number 19 of Hopkins, so the Blue Jays retain possession.
Good 3 with the left hand and a good save by Kevin Healy for the first save of the game. No score with 11:55 to play in the first quarter.
First save is always so tough for a goalie. You want to get the jitters out, make a play, and really get your adrenaline under control. And Healy really wasn't a great shot, but he made the save.
We've got a whistle, an illegal procedure call, so Hopkins will get it back.
Turnovers that drive coaches crazy in any sport, Quint, basketball, football, and especially lacrosse. When you have possession in a game like this, you don't want to give it up easy.
There's a shot, hits the post by Hopkins. Number 24, Connor Denahan, just did miss.
Nice hustle by Connor, actually Justin Shaverly, chasing that shot out, so Hopkins will maintain possession. That's Coach Dick Adele, Maryland's head coach in his 26th year coaching college lacrosse. And another look at Maryland goalie Kevin Healy.
Interesting there, Scott, the goalie for Maryland, as Hopkins turns it right over off Connor Denahan's stick. Kevin Healy of Maryland, number 25, and you see him right there, and Connor Denahan of Hopkins are next-door neighbors in Long Island, New York. They went to Manhattan High School, and they literally live side by side, which, Quint, isn't unusual in this game.
No, it's not. Lacrosse is really a sport that's passed on from family to family, and a lot of times I'm sure that the Denahans and the Healy's shot on each other when they were growing up.
Just a few times.
So Denahan's success probably could be attributed to Healy's and vice versa.
Good point.
Brian Zeller gets it up front. And into the attack zone, Jeff Shirk with it. That's Whipple. He's the assist king. Over to Hockstedt.
Hockstedt Scott went to Boys Latin School right here in Baltimore. His dad, Ira, played for Maryland. His brother, Craig, heading to Hopkins or to Maryland next year. He's at Boys Latin now.
Coming off a 4-goal game. Chris Malone gives it up.
This is Maryland's second midfield unit. When this unit's in the game, their attack will mainly control the ball.
Chris Malone, another local guy from Loyola High School, as there's a hard shot and saved by Carcaterra, Quint.
And here comes Hopkins in a hurry. Paul Lesueur. Loose ball behind the goal. Maryland controls. We got a whistle.
Yeah, it's going to be a loose ball push against Maryland, so Hopkins will have possession. When the ball is loose, you're not allowed to make contact with a player from the rear. And that time, Lesueur was dumped to the turf from a Maryland defenseman. You're allowed to hit from the front, but that time he got it from behind.
So Hopkins with possession, no score, 10 minutes left in the first quarter. Maryland ranked #1, they're undefeated. Hopkins ran again on the right side. Lamy playing defense on him.
Interesting stat here. Maryland, Dick Adell has done a great job, Quinn, of recruiting up here in Baltimore. 19 players from this area. Hopkins, meanwhile, only has 7. The reason being is that a lot of local players don't want to stay here in Baltimore. They want to go
with a
somewhere else.
left-hand shot off the post. They're all around it, but nobody's found it yet. And possession to Maryland.
And explain, Quint, the call there. That's again, a loose ball foul, I believe.
Yeah, that was a loose ball interference call against Dylan Schlott. Actually, it's going to be a free clear because he stepped in the crease also. Take a look at Coach Dick Adell's done a great job. The last 3 or 4 seasons, Maryland, they have just done a fabulous job. 1995, they made it to the national championship. And again, last year, 1997, they made it to the title game. Both times they came up short, but he has just done a terrific job.
Dick Adell, of course, went to Calvert Hall, grew up in Baltimore, went to Towson, All-American attackman. Once coached the University of Baltimore to a soccer championship.
Brian Zeller in front.
It's going to be waved off, Scott.
Off in the crease.
Scott Hockstedt deflected this ball past Carcaterra, Hopkins goalie, but Scott Boyle, the referee right there, made the call, said that Hockstedt stepped in the crease. The crease is that the circle around the goal. It's about 9 feet in radius.
Maryland up with the loose ball. Hockstedt gives it up, and Hopkins in possession. Hogan with it. Here come the Jays in on goal, shot and a save.
That was Godfrey, Scott. Great pass from Hogan to Godfrey. There's that #1 midfield, Quint, you're talking about. Explosive on the transition.
Looks like Kevin Healy's off to a pretty good start.
Yeah, that was a nice save against Godfrey. The Maryland defense condensed in front of Healy, and Godfrey let it go from about 10 yards, but Healy made a beautiful save.
Got a timeout, 9:02 left to play in the first quarter. No score, Hopkins and Maryland.
One at a time, we know you. One at a time, we show you. Care that touches everyone. One at a time.
At CVS Pharmacy, we have everything you need to make this Easter special. Hundreds of cards from American Greetings, festive baskets, and fine candies. So come on in.
Care that touches everyone. One at a time.
There's a lot of quality built into every Toyota Camry. Quality that starts right here with parts made for Toyota in Maryland and sent to Georgetown, Kentucky, where they're used to build Toyota Camrys, Avalons, and now Sienna vans. Other parts go to California, where Toyota Corollas and Tacoma trucks are built. Fact is, most Toyotas are made in the USA. With quality that starts in Maryland.
Tony Siemens, Hopkins, Blue Jays in a battle here with Maryland scoreless. And Quentin Keith, I guess, biggest game of the year. You see the big sellout crowd, over 10,000. I'm sure there's some nerves down there everybody wanting to do a lot, maybe more than you're capable of in the early going.
Yeah, both these teams can score goals. They both average 15 or 16 goals per team, but this big crowd has everyone on edge, and we've seen some sloppy passing. Things will settle down here, though, I think, in the next couple minutes.
So Hopkins in possession, no score. Matt O'Kelly with the ball.
Again, Scott O'Kelly, part of that #1 midfield of Godfrey O'Kelly and A.J. Hogan.
Back behind the goal, that's the left-hander Dave Marks. Marks out to O'Kelly.
Hopkins with the early leading shot. Quinn 6-1, pretty much controlling the tempo so far.
And the pass to Hogan goes out of play, and it'll go to Maryland.
Yeah, and an unforced error for Hopkins. The lighting right now is difficult. The sun is setting off to our left, and it's kind of got that the twilight, that dusk. And sometimes the ball's tough to see.
How about in goal as a goalie?
Yeah, exactly. This point in the game is more dangerous, I think, as far as seeing the ball. As we get darker now, the lights will take over, and then the ball will become really white.
You're talking about shots coming at you in goal of upwards of 90 miles an hour, right? You don't want to be in the dusk.
No, you don't.
Quint, we just saw what's called a clear. Can you explain how long the offensive team has to clear the ball past midfield?
The offensive team, they have 10 seconds to get the ball out of their defensive box, which is about 30 yards in front of the cage. And then once they get it over the midfield line, they have 10 seconds to get it into the opposite offensive box. So it's much like basketball with a 10-second count.
Zeller gets it back after it was checked away. This is Zeller coming in on goal. A shot and a save, and Hopkins is up with it.
And that's Kevin Kaiser, #10, Scott, we've heard a lot about all year. Long stick defensive midfielder from Loyola High School. And again, Quint, the long stick, as we see the ball go out of bounds off of the Hopkins player, #22.
Nadelin lost it.
Yeah, sure.
Frank Raiden did a great job with that one-handed check. Tony Seaman was hoping for a foul. Watch this one-handed check. He reaches around Nadelin and dislodges the ball. Tony Seaman was probably calling for a hold call, because a lot of times when players take one hand off the stick, they'll put that hand on the player's back and actually hold them, which gives them a better angle to dislodge the ball.
Also looked like he made some contact on his head.
Bill Rule gives it up to Whipple. Whipple in front, back behind the goal. Hockstad trying to muscle up.
That's Paleolego, Scott. He is a big 6'5" defender.
He'll scare you with that size.
He's quick, he's agile, and interesting matchup there, Quint. You have Paleolegos with...
with Hockstad. I thought they'd put Paleolegos on Matt Hahn, #32, who plays in front of the cage. Hockstad is not going to have much luck dodging through Paleologos. He's going to have to run around him and use his speed. Paleologos is a house.
This is Rule inside Whipple. #1 has it stripped away. Good defense from Hopkins as Rob Doors stripped him.
Scott Doors had a tough baptism under fire this year. He had to play against Princeton's real good attack, and then Syracuse a couple of weeks ago, and now Maryland.
Rule's got a strong shot. Got back inside. Pascalina loose in front.
We're going to have a loose ball push against Hopkins, so Maryland will maintain possession. Big flurry there in front of the cage. Hopkins, their defense did a nice job blocking that shot by Matt Hahn. I'm not sure who it was. Take a look at Brandon Testa covering Matt Hahn inside.
Could be an interesting matchup there. When Testa, Scott, a freshman, and Matt Hahn, one of the game's best players. Hahn has scored a point in 53 straight games, so point-blank shot right there from Frank Raiden is missed.
Raiden is so quick.
Now he can't find it. We've got a...
It's going to be interference with the goalie. Brian Carcaterra had the ball clamped inside the crease, and Raiden made contact. As you take a look at the replay right now, the loose ball in front, you'll see Carcaterra clamp the ball right there, and then you cannot make contact with the goalie's stick while he is in the crease, and that's why Hopkins now has possession.
And a good shot of Raiden knocking it away right there, so Hopkins gets it back. Still no score. Both teams throwing a shutout at this point with 6:15 to play in the first quarter. Hopkins, A.J. Hogan.
And both goalies right now, Scott Healy and Carcaterra, with 3 saves each, as we see Hogan going in on goal.
Hogan drives, fires, and another save from Kevin Healy.
Tough angle there, Quinn, trying to go behind the head, a la, the Gate brothers and two other guys we've seen.
He actually increased his angle by putting that behind his back. But Healy, real solid. Healy plays great position. He's big. He's a big goalie. He's about 6'1", about 180 pounds, and he takes up a lot of the cage. I'm very impressed with Kevin Healy.
Whipple with 17 assists on the year, has it in front, looking for a cutter.
Good defense that time again, Scott, by Rob Dorr. So far, Dorr holding his own, Quint, on that matchup.
Bob Hanna, number 35 with it.
Maryland's going to try to isolate against some of these offensive midfielders for Hopkins. One of those guys is Matt O'Kelly.
Lost the handle. Back inside. A shot was knocked away at point-blank range. They stopped him again. Eric Osberg was open right in front, but couldn't get it home.
Yeah, I don't know if Carcaterra got a piece of that, but he was faked a number of times here. Watch the replay. Fake, 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 and Carcaterra made the kick save on Osberg with his right foot, and then they're going to get Carcaterra with an interference call.
I think Osberg happened to hit his leg with that shot.
Yeah, oh yeah, he had a beat.
I don't know how much save it was rather than a bad aim. Scott, this is Joe Cowan kneeling on one knee, one of the great names in Hopkins lacrosse, graduated in 1969, three-time All-American, now one of Tony Seaman's assistant coaches.
Hopkins is going to have an extra man now. It's a 30-second violation for interference. So Hopkins now will have 6 offensive players against 5 for Maryland.
And Hopkins on the extra man this year. They've scored over half the time. 28 of 55 opportunities have been cashed in. 51% when last year 22 of 66. They only did 33%. So Hopkins has turned it around on their extra man.
And this is a 6-on
goal. Dudley Dixon.
Yeah, Scott, a 6-on-5 situation gives you obviously the extra man, and Dudley Dixon draws first blood for Hopkins. He went to the Severn School in Annapolis and transferred from Towson State 2 years ago.
That's right. The senior last year had 45 goals. He scores his 15th of the year. Hopkins just worked the ball around the outside. Dixon's got a fast and accurate shot. Here's another angle. He beats Healy low to the stick side. Dudley Dixon recovering from a ligament injury that happened in September. He's actually just recently taken his brace off. Scores his 15th goal on an outside shot, beating Healy low.
Dixon, a candidate, Scott, for an academic All-American honors, as we see Eric Whedon, number 3, the freshman, facing off for Hopkins. Illegal push by Whedon, so Maryland will regain possession.
That goal by Dixon gives him 29 points on the year, ties him with Dylan Schlott for the team leading points.
3 keys to this game, I think, will be the face-offs, the goaltending, and the specialty situations. The extra man. Maryland fouled, and they paid for it. Hopkins, their extra man, as you mentioned, Scott, 50%, and they capitalized.
Sounded like a profit on that one.
Bill Rule with it. Driving to the goal. Fires low and wide. And you see the effort by the goalie there, Brian Carcaterra, diving to try to get in position to get it back for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, Scott Hochstead dove for, you see number 24, Scott Hochstead of Boys Latin, played for head coach Bobby Schreiber there. Again, when the ball goes out of bounds, the closest player to the ball gets possession. Looks like there's a timeout, Scotty.
4.5 minutes left. Blue Jays on top, 1-0. Back to Homewood right after this.
All right, listen up.
One is a nationally ranked lacrosse team. The other, a tough team out for an upset. Hopkins, Towson, a college lacrosse war explodes live on Channel 2 Sports. Saturday, April 25th, 2 p.m. Scott Garso, Keith Mills bring you a front row seat. Fast, furious, fireball action. The non-stop high-speed lacrosse battle is coming at you. Saturday, April 25th, 2 p.m. Only on Channel 2.
My husband.
Can someone help? Does someone here know they have minutes to save his life?
He's in the car. He can't talk and his arms and legs aren't moving.
When did this all happen?
All right, let's get a gurney.
It's going to be okay. When it's something serious, make sure you go to a Helix emergency room. Franklin Square, Harbor, Good Samaritan, Church, Union Memorial.
Tonight's scoreboard is being brought to you by Wells Discount Liquors, serving Maryland since 1937.
Hopkins on top, 1-0. This is the second game of the Icon Classic earlier here today at Homewood. Loyola beat UMass 10-8, and look at the customers across the street.
Best seat in the house, Scotty.
Oh,
across
yeah,
the
keep
street.
an eye on the TV and look out the window. You got it all covered.
Standing room only crowd. Our viewers may have had a chance to see on the back of the Hopkins helmets the initials TG. That's for Chris Gardner Quint, the young player here who passed away from cancer a couple of years ago. The reason they're having this Icon Cancer Classic.
That's right, and Hopkins and Icon, they've written a check to the American Cancer Society in a ceremony that you'll see at halftime.
Brian Zeller with it. Maryland trailing 1-0.
So far, Scott Hopkins' defense more than holding their own against this high-powered Maryland attack, Quint.
Zeller with a check, and then he gets some help from his teammate. We got a call.
And he gets some help from Tony Seaman, who sensed that he was having some problems and called a timeout to save possession.
Let's explain that. You can call, the coach can call timeout, whereas unlike basketball where you have to call a timeout on the field, the coach can call it from the sidelines.
That's exactly right. So if you sense that you have a player on your team who's struggling, might turn the ball over, a lot of times, especially in the first half, a coach will use a quick timeout. He can take a 20-second timeout. That way they don't turn the ball over.
But what do you make of a 1-0 score here with 4:12 left in the first?
I'm
good
surprised.
Defense or a little shaky offense?
Some shooting that hasn't been exactly accurate, but some solid defense on both ends. Both these teams, as we said, they score 16 goals per game, and to be held scoreless, for Maryland to be held scoreless is really kind of shocking.
Well, they're putting the new permanent stands, as you see, across the way to work. This place is packed and people standing, rings around the field here. So
and a lot of Maryland fans, obviously, Scott, huge Maryland alumni contingent in the Baltimore area. You see the red here. I saw Debbie Yao downstairs, the Maryland athletic director. Gary Williams expected here tonight. This is a big event, and you can see it's wall-to-wall people here at Homewood. And Homewood, of course, Quint, sort of like the mecca of college lacrosse. This is where most of the big games were played, most of the national championships. I know back in the 60s and 70s, and just a fabulous place to watch a game.
And a whistle stops play. An offside call against the Blue Jays, so Maryland will get it back with 4:03 left in the first quarter. The only goal of the game, Dudley Dixon, as Hopkins scored on the extra man advantage.
Just saw a shot at Dick Adele. They call him the big man, as again a sloppy pass leads to a Maryland turnover. And Dick Adele, the big man, is not real happy with that.
Chris Noe couldn't run that one down. Number 12, the faceoff expert for the Terps, and there's the big man. The big man is a little big upset.
Chris Noe went to Dick Adele's alma mater, went to Calvert Hall.
That's right. That's right.
From Bel Air, Maryland. You see Tony Seaman in his 8th year at Hopkins, and Quint, a lot of pressure on his shoulders every year to win a national championship.
That's right. Much like being the coach of football at Notre Dame or basketball at Kentucky, you've got to put up the numbers. Seaman has made 4 Final Fours in his 8 years at Hopkins.
Danahan was looking right in front and just missed a connection with Dixon.
Transition game so important here, Scott, because it doesn't allow the defensive midfielders to get on the field with their long sticks. And Quinn, again, the long pole, you're allowed 4 long sticks on a defensive possession every time, right?
That's right.
Hochstadt strong behind the goal, and he's pushed off. Good defense there by Shook.
He's a freshman, Brendan Shook.
And Hochstadt shot down low and out of play.
Interesting about Brendan Shook, he played with the son of Rex Kern in high school, former Colts defensive back, Ohio State quarterback in Columbus, Ohio. Columbus doesn't really produce a lot of players, but they've got a couple in major Division I programs.
Whipple taken down as Blue Jays play some tough defense.
Yeah, Rob Doer. That's a matchup. Yeah, that's a matchup I think that favors Hopkins. Rob Doer is just a little too big and strong for Whipple, who's not the tallest. He's about 5'8", 5'9".
And here comes Hopkins.
Now, the reason Scott Carcaterra can cross midfield is one of their midfielders stayed back on the defensive end.
Strong to the goal. Shot and a score. And Hopkins is on top, 2-0. The left-hander, Dave Marks, fires it in with 2:27 left.
Yeah, great pass from Godfrey that time. Quint Godfrey really set the play up. Dave Marks can go either hand, Quint.
Yeah, he can. And Marks caught this right-handed turn and kind of shot blindly, almost like a fadeaway jump shot in basketball. You know where the basket is. You know where the goal is. You see him step towards the pass, turn, and Healy guessed low. If you watch Healy's stick that time, popped low, and the ball went over his head.
And again, a scouting report
made a great play on that ball at the midfield line to clear it. And then Godfrey, you can see the speed of Andrew Godfrey creating in the open field.
And you mentioned a great point. Healy not used to Mark shooting right-handed, and Dave really did a good quick turn and pump.
Maryland off the draw. Shot is missed.
That was really Matt Hahn's first offensive look there, Scott. Again, Quint uses the basketball analogy, which on the offensive end, there's a lot of basketball principles, screens and picks and this and that.
Exactly. Very, very similar in the patterns.
A lot of hockey, a lot of basketball.
That's right. Hopkins now defensively doing a good job on the shooters. At the last second, they're getting their sticks there and deflecting a lot of these shots wide. We've seen Maryland with a couple decent shot opportunities, but the last last second, there's a white jersey there to deflect the shot wide.
And Hahn had heavy pressure as he tried to get that last shot off.
So far, Quint and Scott, Maryland's defense, or Maryland's offense being handled by Hopkins' defense.
Well, Brian Carcaterra threw a shutout in the first half at Villanova. He hasn't been scored on now in over 3 quarters, I guess.
2 years ago, 1996, in the NCAA quarterfinals, Maryland came here to Hopkins, and Hopkins led 7-0 at halftime. Eventually won that game.
There's a shot and a goal. Good pass inside, and Scott Hockstedt put it away. And Maryland is on the board with 1.5 minutes left now as they cut the lead to 2-1.
It's got Quinn Hockstedt really benefiting from Whipple and Hahn.
That's right. Watch him here. He swings from behind the cage, kind of sneaks from behind. The defense is late to react, and Carcaterra doesn't get much help there. Maryland very unselfish on the offense. Chris Malone, the freshman from Loyola High School, down to the junior from Boys Latin, puts it between the legs of Carcaterra. Here it is again, the third replay angle. He gets the step right here on Rob Dorr, drops his shoulder, and puts it between the legs
Dorr
of
had good
Carcaterra.
position, but he ducked his shoulder. 21 goals, Scott, for Hockstedt.
Leading goal scorer now. He was tied with Hahn. They both had 20. 2-1 Hopkins, 1:24 left in the quarter. Loose ball picked up by the Jays. Back to the goalie, Carcaterra. And here they come. At midfield with a long stick.
That's Brendan Shook, the freshman.
Shook, and the shot is up and top over the goal. They got it where they wanted it, just couldn't put it away.
And I think Healy got a piece of that high. And it was a great goaltending there to realize that Marks is probably going to shoot high again after having success early. And he was up to the task.
And that was his strong hand this time, too. His left hand, and Healy was ready for it. Great save by Healy.
1 minute left in the first quarter. Maryland on the attack, trailing by 1.
Quick talk, if you could, about the scouting reports. I know these guys are scouted right-handed or left-handed. When you're a goalie, you know that, as does the defenseman, right?
In hockey, you'll rarely see a player switch hands with a stick. But in lacrosse, the players switch hands right-handed or left-handed. And usually, your natural hand, you're much better than your weak hand. Usually about 80-20 or 70-30. So anytime a player gets a shot with a strong hand, he's got a pretty good chance to score if he's close.
Shot down low and another save by Carcaterra. Hopkins controls.
Looks like Hahn, Scott, and Quint a little bit more involved now. Looks like Dick Adele said, hey, get the ball, create some things, make some things happen. Matt Hahn, their leading scorer from Georgetown Prep.
Blue Jays going to have to go in a hurry. 20 seconds left here in the first quarter. A long pull. Great pass inside and the score. Well set up.
Robbie Dorr.
Yeah, Dorr at Dylan Schlott, Scott, and Dylan Schlott is on fire. 7 goals last week against Villanova, and Quint, just as you said, Robbie Dorr made the play.
Robbie Dorr ran right past Billy Rule of Maryland right here into the open field. And Dylan Schlott is money in the bank from close range. He's shooting about 60%, which is unheard of in the sport of lacrosse. That would be like a batter hitting 450. Not only 400, but 450.
7 for 8 last week.
That's right.
And this guy did very little in his first 3 years here at Hopkins.
He was on the benches, honestly. He didn't get much time.
Was probably a more noted football player at Gilman than he was a basketball player, and he played for John Tucker, the All-American at Hopkins here at Gilman. And boy, Dylan Schlott has given Tony Seaman, Scott, a huge shot in the arm this year offensively.
His 30th point of the year. Here comes Maryland. 10 seconds left. Ball goes out of play with 8 seconds left.
Haggerty popped that face-off forward to himself, and Maryland almost countered there with a quick goal. Haggerty likes to do that. These face-off, there's a couple different techniques. He likes to push it forward to himself.
That's going to do it as time winds down here. And the first quarter comes to an end. So the Hopkins Blue Jays on top of top-ranked Maryland, 3-1 after 1. We'll return to Homewood right after this.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mickey.
I'm taking the girls shopping for their Easter basket. It's nice to see you and the girls, and you've come to the right place.
Great. I want deals.
Okay, Easter baskets for $1.44, grass and eggs. 3 packages for 99 cents.
Terrific, but I want more.
Try this, the best candy at the best prices, and lots of it.
The girls. Where are they?
When you think Easter, think MJ Designs.
Bobby, looks like you found a home in Bakersville. Holy Toledo, Bob. You've been traded to the Torpedoes. They love you.
Just because you're always on the go
Shreveport, Bobby, Shreveport. It's a good trade, kid.
doesn't mean you can't take along the KFC chicken you crave. Pick up boneless all-white meat Colonel strips. For a limited time, grab 3 crispy strips, wedges, and a Pepsi for just $2.99. They're ready to go when you are.
2 words, Bob. Knitsu Carp.
Isn't it time for some really good chicken?
Hopkins, 3 attackmen. Schlott, Dixon, and Marks have all scored in the first quarter. And the Blue Jays lead it 3-1 after 1. Maryland's only goal came from Hockstead, and now we're ready to face off Whedon and Haggerty.
Scott, we just saw the 2 Maryland assistants, Dave Slaskowski and Scott Marr. Ironically, both of those guys played here at Hopkins, and now they're against the Blue Jays, which again is pretty common in this sport. Scott Marr lost a good friend of his to cancer within the last month, Thomas J. Howard, and he's really emotional night for him tonight.
Haggerty controls the face-off. He has about 65% of the time this year.
That's a crucial battle, isn't it, Quint, the face-off?
Yeah, especially as this game opens up and we see more and more goals being scored. Time of possession correlates into more shots. Shots obviously correlates into goals.
Absolutely.
So winning the face-off battle is crucial. Right now, I'd give Maryland a slight edge.
Hockstead, the junior from Boys Latin, behind the goal with it.
And Scott, he's guarded by John Paleologos, the big 6'5 junior from Georgetown Prep. Interesting matchup there.
And now Matt Hahn goes to work.
And he's on Eric Whedon. Not a good matchup there, Quint.
One hands it in front, but right to him was Brian Carcaterra.
Carcaterra, again, makes a spectacular save inside. Hahn did a terrific job getting inside leverage against Whedon. But Carcaterra matched up stick on stick and made the save.
Here come the Jays with it.
Again, Robbie Dory already has an assist, the defenseman.
And we've got a violation in the crease, I believe.
Yeah, Dylan Schlott got caught with his right foot in the crease.
Here are your Wells first quarter stats. See the shots dead even at 12. Anything else jump out at you guys?
Turnover's almost even.
Yeah, it looks pretty even. Maryland has had some opportunities. They've missed the cage on a number of shots.
Unusual for them. They're pretty good marksmen, so to speak. When they get the opportunity, they usually don't miss.
Whipple behind the goal.
I know you. Let me just...
Being marked right there.
Whipple, Scott played for his dad in high school and says his coach now, Dickie Dell, very similar to his father.
Zeller stripped and Hopkins up with it.
Another great defensive possession, Quint, for Hopkins.
And Maryland trying to get it back as Radin got a good check and took the ball. Radin now gets hammered down. Ball loose. Bodies down. Whistles sounding.
That's lacrosse at its finest right there.
Maryland Hopkins.
That's what we love right there. You can see Radin is
I think the push is on down. 22, Sean Nadler.
That's right. Here's a replay. Radin makes the steal, brings it in, and then Nadlin just dumps him from behind. There's a loose ball so that he will not have to serve time. Here it is again. Lasore with the one-handed check. Ball pops loose. Ooh. And Radin gets crunched from
behind. Now, the one-handed check was legal.
Yes, that is legal because he got him on the stick and then the hand. That is a typical play in this rivalry.
Well said, Scott.
And I wish we had mics down there because you know the players were exchanging pleasantries.
Hockstead driving in, has it knocked away, but it's picked up by Hahn. Hahn with a bouncer behind the goal. Whipple was there, so Maryland will retain possession.
Interesting there, Scott. Maryland been outscored only once this year. That was against Virginia, and they came back and blew Virginia.
That's right. That was actually the fourth quarter of that game. They're outscored 3-2. They have won every other quarter this year, and after 8 games, they've won 31 out of 32 quarters.
And it looks like a little bit, Scott, the intensity has picked up just a little bit here.
Bodies starting to fly. Whipple trying to work, but good defense. Hopkins with the body on him. Rule right in front. Ooh! And a penalty marker goes down. Did the ball go in?
I think it hit the pipe. It looked like it hit the top pipe. You can see Raiden wants a goal right there, but the officials, Hockstead got decked right underneath the chin. The referees, I don't think they're going to give him a goal. We'll see.
Yeah, good look in front to get it to Hockstead.
Great pass.
Take a look again.
Again, the feed set it up.
Here it is, Hockstead. That's Kaiser just dumps Hockstead. You can see the ball hits the top pipe and then bounces down. Here it is again. Ooh, there's the foul. There's the ball. Bounces in the goal. You can see the ball bounce behind the line. But the referees were looking at the player in front. And missed that. It happened so quickly also.
We hear the call. That's Kevin Kaiser, number 10. Whistled for the foul. He's from Loyola High School. He will have to sit out a minute. So Scott, Maryland now goes on the extra man as we look at Tony Seaman. Sensing a little momentum switch right here, maybe.
It's an unnecessary roughness call. And so Kaiser will have to serve a full minute.
I think Tony also realizes that ball may have been in the goal. Says, hey, we just dodged that bullet.
Yeah, Maryland on the extra man. 13 of 34. That's just under, that's 38%.
And Hopkins has done a pretty good job on extra man defense. But the games we did earlier in the year, they had a solid effort.
Yeah, teams are scoring 22%. Hopkins' offense scores 50%, and their defense holds opponent to 22%. So that's a nice differential.
6 against 5 as Maryland works it around the perimeter. In front, shot and a goal by Whipple. Good look as Whipple took a nice pass by number 39 for the Terps.
Actually,
35, Bob Hanna.
Bobby Hanna, great feed, and what we call a quick stick right there.
That's right. Watch the passing. 4 or 5 quick passes, and they find Whipple all alone on the back side of the defense. They got the Hopkins defense to overcommit to the near side. You see all the white jerseys. Raiden down low to Hanna. Through the seam, across the front of the cage, and there's nothing Carcaterra can do there. Great play by Maryland. Give their coaching staff a lot of credit for that one.
Whipple more of the point guard and the feeder in this attack, but gets the benefit of a great pass from Bobby Hanna, who played his high school across at Grambling High School for head coach Clay White down in Anne Arundel County, which has produced its share of college players in the last couple of years.
Maryland controls, and now they're looking to tie, trailing 3-2 with about 12 minutes left here in the first half.
Again, Scott, as we get into this game, we can talk about who plays the greatest lacrosse. Is it Baltimore or Long Island or upstate New York? And an argument, Quint, that we've had, but still Baltimore keeps cranking out players that are ready for this level quickly.
Oh, yeah. You look around the country. Look at Princeton, the defending national champions 2 years in a row. Their first midfield is all Baltimore players.
Osberg with a shot and another good save.
Carcaterra did not react very well to that ball. It hit him on the leg. You see his stick did not move after it at all. I wonder if he's having problems with the lights.
You know, Scott, Hopkins' defense has had to be really on their game now for about 3-4 minutes. You wonder if the legs start to lose it.
And Godfrey.
Ooh, A.T. Bailey got crunched.
Bailey got crunched. Whistles.
It's going to be a loose ball push against Maryland.
Number 31, Eric Osberg.
Watching the replay, you'll see Bailey doesn't see Osberg at all. And his teammates are probably saying, hey, A.T., you got a guy behind you. You got a guy behind you. But because this crowd is so large, he didn't hear his teammates and got dumped.
Blindsider, right?
Yeah, he was lucky. That's a look out. He's lucky Osberg.
You saw Osberg give him a pat on the backside when he got up.
Sorry for that cheap shot.
Got to play the game, right? And we got a timeout called. 11-10 left in the second quarter. Hopkins 3, Maryland 2.
I didn't have to fish the deepest Arctic waters to make Gordon's char-grilled fillets. I might have gone overboard. I didn't have to give them that great smoky taste. I might have gone overboard. And I didn't have to come up with this tempting new lemon butter flavor. But when you taste Gordon's grilled fillets, you'll be glad I went overboard. Well, not overboard. Gordon's grilled fillets.
Dress the Gordon's fisherman.
Can I get you something to drink?
Nobody wants to finish second. That's why Icon Office Solutions helps you compete better. With outsourcing, copier systems, networking, and software from premier partners like Microsoft, Canon, Ricoh, and Osei. Icon Office Solutions. Work to win.
See the score, Hopkins 3, Maryland 2. We're in the second quarter, and the only scoring in this quarter by Andrew Whipple. Hopkins led 3-1 after 1.
Everything is advertised so far, Scott. You know, Hopkins has won 42 national championships. They've won 7 NCAA championships since the tournament began in '73. Maryland's won a couple. So these two programs really have earned their place in collegiate history in terms of tradition, Quint.
One thing we've seen in the last 5 to 10 minutes, the game's getting more physical.
Much more physical.
That's right. And no one plays as hard and as physical as Maryland. That's their style of ball game.
And that's they personify their coach, Dick Adele. Really emotional kind of a guy, really intense at all times of the day.
A.J. Hogan with it as you look at the shots, all Maryland.
Yeah, Quint brought up a great point, Scott, in the break. Looks like Maryland trying to wear Hopkins down a little bit. So this possession, really important to save some legs on the Hopkins defense.
That's right, that's right. And Maryland plays a lot more players than Hopkins will. Maryland will play over 20 players.
This is Godfrey down low, and he scores. Andrew Godfrey takes the low route and beats goaltender Kevin Healy.
And that's, again, his former teammates, Scott Godfrey and Kevin Healy. Quint both went to the same high school, Manhasset on Long Island.
You can see Godfrey came awful close to stepping in the crease. Here it is. He blows by the Maryland defenseman, Jeff Shirk. Comes in, drops the stick, and puts it between the legs of Kevin Healy. Godfrey's 13th goal of the season. He's a midfielder, but he likes operating from behind the net.
And he likes, Scott, playing in big games. Had 4 against North Carolina a couple of weeks ago. Had 4 against Rutgers. He was the outstanding long jumper on Long Island, and when he was a senior in high school,
right off the island.
He could jump right over the net. Good athlete, as Quint said. A lot of these players you'll find were outstanding football players in high school. Eric Whedon of Hopkins, who's facing off right now, I believe, it was the Long Island, you see number 3, the Long Island Football Player of the Year.
That's right. Most of them great athletes in basketball or soccer, but maybe not an elite athlete as far as their height and their size. And so lacrosse really fits their body type better, and therefore they come to a Hopkins and a Maryland and excel.
Illegal procedure against Maryland gives Hopkins the ball. They're on top 4-2. Over 10 minutes to play in the second quarter.
Quint, why has Tony Seaman been able to recruit so well on Long Island? Has 12, 14 players from that area?
Well, he was an outstanding coach up on Long Island at the high school level and then at the college level at C.W. Post College, and then went to the University of Pennsylvania. So he's kept a lot of associations from his coaching days on Long Island. He's got great relationships with all the coaches there, and he is very well respected up in that area, and comes to your high school, and the kids love coming down here to Baltimore. Baltimore is a great college town for these New York kids.
Danahan stripped, and here comes Maryland in a hurry. Jeff Shirk to the middle, shot and a save. Carcaterra comes up with it. And Hopkins in transition. Good passing by the Jays. They get it to Marks.
And good recovery, Scott, by Maryland's defense, Quint.
That's right. Hopkins had the numbers game, but Maryland did a nice job rotating their defense, covering for one another, and that allowed the support to make its way down the field. Carcaterra with a great save, and that behind-the-back outlet pass really got this crowd energized.
And again, Quint, you said earlier, he's their emotional leader. Plays like that bring the emotion out in this crowd and obviously in the team.
This is Marks muscling his way in. And shot, shoots, and scores the second goal of the game. Dave Marks puts Hopkins up 5-2 with 9:04 left.
2 goals for Marks.
Yeah, Scotty, Dave Marks' father coaches at Villanova, and last week Hopkins destroyed Villanova. Dave Marks a couple of weeks ago came on strong, Quint.
They're taking the goal
away.
I didn't hear what it was. Must have been an in-the-crease violation.
Woo. So no goal for Marks.
No goal for Marks.
Big turn of events there.
The Terps bring it up. So the score remains 4-2.
Carcaterra with 9 saves. Kevin Healy of Maryland with 4. Was talking about Marks had 3 goals against Syracuse. Really gave Tony Seaman a big lift.
Zeller busting in, bounces it low. A save and controlled by Carcaterra. Bodies down everywhere, but Carcaterra has the ball. And now a whistle.
That's going to be an interference call against Hopkins. When Carcaterra has the ball in the crease, the defense is no longer allowed to check the Maryland attack.
Take a look at it, Clint.
Yeah.
Take a look at it again. There's the rebound, the ball popping up in the air. You can see Carcaterra has it right there. Rob Dorr dumps, actually two players. He dumps Whipple, and he wanted more, and he dumped Hop.
Wasn't satisfied with Whipple.
Much like hockey, when the ball's loose in front of the cage, it is a free-for-all. And the defensemen are taught, hey, take your man out. Don't let your man kick or swat at the ball.
No survivor standing.
That's right.
And Whipple can't control the pass. He hustles after it, but out of bounds to Hopkins. You see Whipple disgustedly just kind of rakes it away.
You know, in tennis, you have unforced errors and forced errors. I think that was a forced error. Good pressure that time by Hopkins on defense. You see Tony Seaman letting the official know what he thinks. Tony never wanted to wear his emotions inside his sleeve. They're out in sleeve at all times.
Tony is 8th year at Hopkins, 17th year of coaching. Was at Penn before he came here. And here come the Blue Jays. They're on top 4-2. Marks behind the goal.
Number 18 there, Scott, is Casey Connor in red. He went to Calvert Hall also.
He's putting that long stick to use it.
Yeah. Marks can't do anything with him.
Up top, Hogan. A shot to score, A.J. Hogan. The sophomore. 16th goal of the year.
He's from Long Island also, and Quint, this guy right here, number 12, one of the premier recruits in the country.
Oh, yeah, watch him operate here on the left side, bounces the ball, beats Healy low, another goal going in low. He beat Brian Reese, who Maryland is touting as one of the outstanding defensive midfielders in the country. That is a heavyweight battle. Number 12, Hogan for Hopkins, against number 34 for Maryland, Brian Reese. Two of the best at their position in the entire country. You can see Hogan, 16 goals this season. He has really raised his game to the next level.
And he's, as I said, big-time recruit, one of probably the 2 or 3, along with Ryan Powell a couple of years ago, coming out of college as the premier player, one of the premier players in the country.
Clock is stopped, 7:41 left. Hopkins on top, 5-2.
Here is an easy quiz. True or false? Dodge Caravan is America's best-selling minivan. Good. And right now, Grand Caravan comes with how much cash back? Very good. Now page 2. Check off which features come with this Caravan. Correct. Yet it's still America's lowest priced minivan at just, oh, very, very good. So please circle which minivan you want now. Excellent. See the friendly Dodge dealer near you.
One at a time, we know you. One at a time, we show you. Care that touches everyone, one at a time.
At CVS Pharmacy, we have everything you need to make this Easter special. Hundreds of cards from American Greetings, festive baskets, and fine candies. So come on in.
Care that touches everyone, one at a time.
Great night for lacrosse here at Homewood, and the Blue Jay fans have had a lot to cheer about here in the first half. Hopkins leads top-ranked Maryland 5-2, 7:41 left.
The first quarter was dominated by the Hopkins attack. They scored the 3 goals, and now in the second quarter we've seen that first midfield unit, Godfrey and Hogan, do the damage. So that offense has a lot of versatility. Maryland looking sharp on offense, but Carcaterra has been sharp for Hopkins in the goal.
Battle on the face-off, still loose, and finally controlled by the Terrapins. And now we've got a whistle and a timeout call. Dick Adele got a timeout call.
Yeah, Dick called again that sensing a kind
strategy
of
timeout.
real strategy.
Right, each team is allowed 1 20-second timeout, so they usually waste it to maintain possession. This will be a quick timeout. You can see Coach Adele.
Boy, he's trying to get them fired up. Listen in.
Listen up! Yeah, clear the ball. Do we 10 seconds off?
7:25 left. 5-2.
Scott Adele, again, outstanding lacrosse player himself at Towson State, and he recruited the son of Towson State football, or Towson football coach Gordy Combs. His son Bugs is a member of the Maryland team. We might see Bugs a little extra man offense.
Yeah, he had a hat trick against his dad's team, against Towson.
That's right.
That's right.
I had a chance to talk to Gordy this morning to see the last 5 meetings. Some truly outstanding outstanding. In 1995, the NCAA Final Four, one of the biggest upsets in this rivalry. Quentin, Maryland came in heavy underdogs. Hopkins unbeaten and #1 at the time.
Shocking game. I had the opportunity to do that game on ESPN. I was at both teams' practice the day before the game, and I walked away saying, wow, Hopkins is sharp. They're going to crush Maryland. Maryland is so loose. They came out the next day, and it was Hopkins who folded, and Maryland pulled off.
And their goalie, Brian Doherty, sensational game.
Yeah, one of the best ever played, actually, in an NCAA tournament game.
Rule lost it there.
Scott, looks like the officials just sensing how the game has gone. Might be trying to call this one a little tighter now. They sense that it's really becoming an emotional, aggressive game, trying to put the clamps on that now. Some confusion. Seems to be a lot of confusion here, Quint.
Maryland will bring it in. Chris Malone.
Chris Malone went to Loyola. All-Metro player for Joe McFadden. Outstanding high school player.
That's Chris with it. Right down at midfield.
A couple of years ago, Scott, Loyola had the best high school team probably in the nation. Last year it was Boys Latin. They graduated 22 players to Division I, 2, or 3 schools. And now the team in Baltimore is Gilman, ranked #1.
That's right. Two of Maryland's midfielders, Zeller, is also from Loyola.
And Kevin Kaiser for Hopkins. We see Hofstadt. They'll make that Bobby Hanna.
Yep.
Looked like he hit the pipe on that one.
Yeah. And a penalty marker down. His body's flying the far side.
Bob Hanna just ran over Sean Nadlin.
Nadlin, actually, Hanna's going to get the foul here because he gets him up too high, or right around the face.
Just about.
And that's a real point of emphasis from the officials this year. No elbows. Watch it again. This is brutal.
This is a big hit
right
here.
Right there, right under the chin.
Explain the body check, Quint. What can you do? What can't you do?
You cannot cross-check, and you cannot hit above the shoulders. And that was clearly a shot to the jaw and face area. It's got to be from the front. It's got to be to the body and from your body. No elbows, no forearms, no cross-checks.
So again, Scott, Maryland faced with a tough task here, shutting down Hopkins, extra man offense.
Blue Jays up 5-2 and 6-on-5 on the offensive end for Hopkins.
Scott, and Quinn, a lot of teams try to play an extra attackman on extra man, but Hopkins goes with the midfielder.
Loose in front, a good shot, but no goal. Now whistle stops play.
Loose ball push against Maryland. Hopkins will maintain possession. Healy made a terrific save against Dylan Schlott. There was just a loose ball, a scramble in front. Schlott caught it, turned, point, and fired. Here it is right there.
Ooh.
Healy showing exceptional quickness for a big man. Schlott that ball
point blank range.
Excellent.
You're not going to stop him there too many times.
No. I think that was anticipation there, huh, Quint?
And a quick shot, nothing doing.
It's Matt O'Kelly, number 26. O'Kelly also from Manhasset, but he didn't go to Manhasset High School. He went to St. Mary's, but again, from that fertile area where you're from, up in Long Island.
That's right, yeah. Manhasset and the St. Mary's area, that's the North Shore of Long Island. Actually, Dave Petromala went to St. Mary's High School, probably the best defenseman ever to play.
Bailey gives it on top to O'Kelly. On the right side, Hogan with a shot and a score. A.J. Hogan.
Again, Scott Hogan, if you want to equate it to basketball terms, he'd be like a recruit, like a guy like Ron Mercer, a player who's a top 5 player in the nation, going to one of the best schools in the country. Here you see him quit, just letting loose.
Look at that jump shot, left-handed, gets the full body torque behind it. Watch it again. Watch him plant, jump, spin, and just yank that ball down low for his second goal in a row. There it is again. That's from about 13, 14 yards. That ball's going 85, 90, 95 miles an hour depending. And A.J. Hogan, his strength, I think, is his ability to go both directions, his ability to get you from the outside and from the inside. He's so versatile.
And he's so quick.
Hopkins has scored 3 unanswered goals now to take a 6-2 lead.
And again, we talked about this explosive #1 midfield for Hopkins. Tony Seaman has probably rightfully said it's if not the best, certainly one of the 3 best in the country. He said it's the best. O'Kelly, Hogan, and Godfrey, and tonight they're proving it, Quint. You see Connor Denihan, number 24, the second midfield in now, Scott, for Hopkins. Denihan, Bailey, and Justin Shaberly.
Yeah. Hopkins happy with a 6-2 lead to not force things here.
And shirt.
Denihan back behind, up front, looking for Dixon. Can't click with him, and the Terps come up with it.
Nice play by Casey Connor there. Maryland on the transition.
Burke in a hurry. And they get it to Whipple. He's the point guard.
Jeff Shirk, by the way, Scott, his dad played for the New York Giants.
That's right.
Jerry Shirk.
Gary Shirk, number 87. That's back when the Giants
your
were...
days.
Yeah, it's back when I used to be a Giant fan, and then I come to Baltimore.
Hockstead with a shot, a save.
And then they win the Super Bowl.
Another
one. Come to Baltimore.
And then Hahn had it right on the doorstep. And Carcaterra out of the goal. Penalty marker down.
Free possession there for Hopkins, but they couldn't take advantage of it, Scott. But they will retain possession here. It looks like maybe win another extra man attempt.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that last goal from Hopkins was an extra man or not. But it's going to be a foul against Carcaterra, a slash.
Ooh.
Here it is. Here's the save. Here's Matt Hahn, right-handed. Ball pops out. Carcaterra picks it up, and he's off to the races. He will get fouled here towards the end of that play by Whipple. Carcaterra, very vocal. A lot of the players would love to hit him when he's out of the crease, and he is free bait.
He's a target.
And that time, exactly. And that time, Whipple with the slashing violation.
He likes to go, but as you said, Quint, you haven't seen him with an uncovered goal, right?
Right.
No, I have not seen him. He's very, he gambles, and he takes a lot of risks, but I've yet to see him get burned.
Great speed from Hogan there. Hogan really inserting himself at midfield. Timeout from Tony Seaman.
Timeout called with 4:02 left in the second quarter. Hopkins 6, Maryland 2.
You know me like a book. You know my moves before I make them. I go right. You're there. I go left. You're there before me. I shoot from downtown. You're in my face. The only way to beat you is to go right at you. That's what I'm gonna do tonight. Tonight, I'm gonna own you. Ready? Let's go.
True, there are other ways to reduce your car insurance premiums instead of calling Geico. Geico Direct. A 15-minute call could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
You are watching Channel 2, WMAR-TV, Baltimore.
Hopkins on top, 6-2. Tony Seaman has to like the way this one's going.
Yeah, has to like the way his defense is really playing, Quint. And on a full moon on a beautiful night in Baltimore. University Parkway on the campus of Johns Hopkins. And there's the band. They're always here, Quint.
And they're the best band in college lacrosse.
The only band in college lacrosse.
Hey, you didn't have to say that.
Well, Virginia's band comes out occasionally, and they're pretty snazzy.
When the weather's nice?
Yeah, towards the end of the season. When basketball season's done.
Hopkins in white. They have possession and the lead, 6-2. This is Dixon on top. Down low, shot and a save. Healy came up with that one.
And airs it out.
Wow.
And throws it away. Wasn't a shot, so obviously Hopkins will retain possession. What kind of thinking was that, Quint, from Kevin Healy?
Well, yeah, he's out of the cage. He didn't have many options because they're short of man. They're still trying to kill off the penalty.
So it wasn't a bad play.
Well, it wasn't a bad play. You don't want to throw it that far. You want to give your attackman, Matt Hahn, a better chance.
Yeah.
And on an AstroTurf field, the ball takes a real huge hop, so you have to factor that in. And
no icing there, right?
That's right.
A.J. Hogan, Scott, number 12, really giving the offense a jump start here in the second quarter.
Team's back at even strength now.
And we're just over 3 minutes left. Good stick check there, but Hogan hangs on.
That's that matchup, Hogan and Reese. Reese from St. Paul's.
Hogan gets buried, double team down to the ground.
Great help from
Play
Casey
on.
Connor, yeah. Play on, they say.
Scott Healy fires it about 2/3 of the field.
Scott, sliding defensive help, so big in this sport. On the defensive end, you saw a perfect example of it there.
Hogan.
Nice save by Healy that time.
Yeah. Marks controls it.
Across his body. Terrific play by Rob Dewar to control that long pass. But Healy's been sharp. He's made about 3 saves in a row now.
This is Andrew Godfrey with it. 2:15 left. Hopkins on top, 6-2. Really shut down Maryland's vaunted attack here in the first half. to 2 minutes now. 2 minutes left in the half. Andrew Godfrey with it. Trying to find somebody in the middle, but they couldn't get the pass off, and Maryland takes over.
Exceptional checking there by Casey Connor, number 18 for Maryland, taking the ball away from Dave Marks. Maryland, really, they play straight up defensively. They like to pack it in front of their goaltender. But Casey Connor that time came out against Marks and made a great check.
Timeout called by Maryland.
And a Maryland timeout stops the clock with 1.5 minutes left. We'll keep it right here. Now Keith Mills is headed down to the field, and we'll hear from both coaches, one at the end of the half and the other as they come back out in the second half. And obviously, Maryland's offense is going to have a lot to talk about at halftime. 2 goals with 1.5 minutes left certainly isn't the way they wanted to see this thing go.
No, it hasn't. And 2 of the easiest ways to score in lacrosse are when you have the extra man and also transition, when you fast breaks, when you can catch the other team without very men in the hole defensively. So Maryland needs to get the transition game going.
Right now, let's check in with Quinn on another lax backs.
Quinn, I guess a lot of games can be won or lost right here, the face-offs. What's the strategy?
Scott, the key is your stance. You need to have a balanced stance and a stance that allows you to be quick on the whistle. Both players will come down. You're not allowed to touch the ball, and you're not allowed to have your stick over the ball. So you're perpendicular to the field. On the whistle, quickness is essential. Watch for 2 techniques. One is the clamp technique, where I'm going to clamp on the ball and roll it out to a teammate or to myself. Okay, that's the clamp. The second is the rake technique, where I'm going to push the ball underneath and forward, underneath the opponent's stick this way, scoop it up, and my team will have a fast break. Watch for those 2 techniques.
You know a lot about face-offs for a goalie there. That's a nice instruction. I think I could win one now. Well, maybe not win one.
Well, sometimes you forget about not the violence, but the physical nature of face-offs. It's just 2 athletes over the ball, and really almost anything goes down there.
A lot
Very
of muscle,
physical.
right? Yeah.
A lot of ex-wrestlers seem to excel at the face-off.
Just a little over 1 minute left. It's 6-2 Hopkins. Maryland in possession. Bill Rule running behind the goal with it. At the break, Hopkins 5-0 when they lead at halftime. Behind the goal, Hockstad. 45 seconds left. Hanna with it. Maryland showing some patience here. They'd like to get one before the half's out. Zeller. Brian Zeller shot off the mark.
That's what you want to do defensively. You want to funnel the shooters down to the side, take away the angle. A shooter has a lot more angle when he's right in front of the cage than he does when he's off to the wing.
Whipple trying to muscle in, but Hopkins right there on the defensive end. Whipple with a shot, and another save by Carcaterra. And now the Blue Jays will probably be able to run out the half here. One more rush. 10 seconds.
They'll try to get one more shot here.
The long pull, Rob Dorr to Dixon. Dixon in front. Mark shots, and it's blocked by the defense. And that ends the first half. So top-ranked Maryland in a little trouble here. Hopkins has controlled the first half. And the Blue Jays on top, 6-2. Quint, a little surprised?
I am surprised. Maryland's offense really has not gotten into gear. Their defense has done a decent job. Holding Hopkins to 6 goals in the first half is nothing to be embarrassed about. But Coach Adele right there, he's got to get his offense. He's got to get it going. They've got to generate more transition, get up and down this field, and score some goals if they're going to pull back in this one.
So that's how we stand at halftime. Johns Hopkins 6, Maryland 2. Let's go down to Keith Mills.
Yeah, Scotty, with me, head Maryland coach Dick Adele. Dick can't be real happy with the way this first half has evolved.
No, we didn't play well at all. I think that offensively, I mean, if I look up at the board after 30 minutes and we got 2 goals, it makes me puke. All right, we're a good offensive team, and what we've done is gone to a lot of individual stuff, and I don't think it's the fact that the kids are selfish; they just want to win so bad. But that's a horrendous offensive performance for us, but for a couple great saves by Kevin, we'd be out of this thing right now.
What have they done to throw you out of your sync?
No, we've done it. We've done it, Scotty. I mean, they're aggressive defensively, and not a whole lot of calls being made against them. But if we move the ball and hit the open man, good things are going to happen to us.
Okay, Dick Adele, thank you. Head coach Dick Adele has a tough task. How do he get his offense on track? We'll have We'll talk more about that and have some first-half highlights and stats when we come back. Stay with us live from Homewood Field.
Join fellow cyclists in gearing up for the 98th season at the Cam Bike Rally, Saturday, April 25th at Southern High School in Harwood. Call 1-888-226-7433 to register.
Hey, folks, Dan Roderick's here. Just to let you know that Roderick's for Breakfast is moving, let's go, fellas, to 10 a.m. starting Sunday, April 19th. So you got it? New time, 10 a.m. Sunday, April 19th. Roderick's for Breakfast, Channel 2, this station right here.
Please don't drive drunk.
Tonight's scoreboard is being brought to you by Wells Discount Liquors, serving Maryland since 1937.
Welcome back to Homewood Field. Hopkins on top at halftime. You heard Dick Adele. He's real upset with the way his Terrapins are playing. I'm sure he's going to have a little message for his players at halftime, and we'll see how much that motivates Maryland as they come out in the second half trailing 6-2. Right now, this is a special event tonight, the Icon Classic. Earlier today, Loyola beat UMass in the first game. It benefits the American Cancer Society, and that's a subject near and dear to the hearts of the Hopkins program.
Chris Gardner loved playing lacrosse for Hopkins, and Hopkins loved having a player like Chris on the team. Unfortunately, Chris lost his life to cancer, and although he's not on the field anymore, he's definitely not forgotten.
About a week prior before his death, I had spent good quality time with him. And we discussed about, whether or not it would be a good idea if I would wear his jersey. And it was like, he was thrilled. He was like, it really felt good to him that I'd be carrying on his jersey number and give honor to that. I remember a particular practice when we were freshmen, and it was absolutely freezing out. I mean, freezing. And I remember we were both sitting on the sideline shivering. Couldn't even move. Every time a ball would go past us, I'd strut over and try and pick it up. And, I was so cold, and he had a pair of thermal gloves underneath his lacrosse gloves. And he in the middle of practice, he took his gloves off, and he gave me his gloves. And he was just as cold as I was. But, I think that's the kind of person he was.
And what we are doing is donating $1 from each ticket sold at the game to the American Cancer Society, as well as a group of other activities around the game in which our sponsors will be donating funds the American Cancer Society can use to fight the disease.
We buried the jersey with him, the white jersey, number 23, and I know that was really special for him because it was one thing that he could hold on to when he was being sick, and he had something to look forward to, listening to the games on the radio and making appearances at the games. And it really made him a part of something.
And earlier presenting a check from Icon Office Solutions, Bob Salina, Vice President of Sales, and Stuart Ridley accepting the check from Johns Hopkins University Director of Athletics Tom Calder, accepting a $30,000 donation on behalf of the American Cancer Society's Dr. Ray Leonard, Professor of Oncology at Johns Hopkins University Medical School and past National President of the American Cancer Society. So a great night of lacrosse for a terrific cause and a $30,000 donation. 6-2 our halftime score. Hopkins on top of Maryland. We'll return to Homewood right after this.
I'm a cardiologist. I fix people's hearts. No small thing. People, families, are trusting me with their lives. The differences between hospitals and doctors, they mean everything. I'm a heart doctor. And the day I became a heart patient, well, they meant a lot more.
Ask your doctor about cardiac surgery at Union Memorial Hospital.
Get one of the world's best quality automakers to refine and perfect a single automobile for 30 years, and this is the result. Toyota Corolla. It's everything you'd expect and more, because now Corolla's all new, bigger with more power and safety features like side impact airbags, yet priced $1,000 below last year with a special low payment lease available. No wonder Corolla is the best-selling car in the world.
Welcome back. It's a packed crowd here to see top-ranked Maryland against number 6 Hopkins. Hopkins has the best of it in the first half. They're on top 6-2. Let's take a look at some first-half highlights. Maryland got on the board first with a Dudley Dixon goal.
That's right. Dudley Dixon on a feed from A.T. Bailey. And this gave Hopkins a 1-0 lead with about 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. That was an extra man goal. And then Maryland came right back. Malone to Hockstead, 2 Maryland high school graduates. Loyola High School to Boys Latin right there. Hockstead beats the Hopkins goalie, Carcaterra, and that made the score 2-1 in favor of Hopkins.
Then they went on a 3-goal run, and Godfrey scores right here.
Andrew Godfrey right here. You'll see him dodging behind the cage, switches hands to his left, back to his right, accelerates, and watch him put this ball between the legs of Healy. Great camera work right there. Perfect angle. The slide defensively was a little late, and Hopkins took a 4-2 lead.
So you look at the halftime stats, 6-2. Shots just about even on the Wells halftime stats. Ground balls, a slight edge to Maryland, but you heard Dick Adele. He's not too happy with the way they played at all. He said it's not what Hopkins is doing, it's what we're doing to ourselves.
Yeah, and I think they need to start generating transition, a couple fast breaks, get up and down the field a little more, and I think they need to start passing the ball. He talked about them being a little selfish, trying to do too much individually. This team is very dangerous when they start passing the ball around the outside, getting the defense out of position, and then capitalizing.
Quint, I think 31 total turnovers. How does that number compare with in a low-scoring game like this 6-2?
That's a lot of turnovers, and I think the whole event, the 12,000 fans here, and all the publicity this game has received, I think the players had some jitters, and we've seen some sloppy passing.
So that's where we are at the half. It's 6-2. We have a few other scores to show you from around Lacrosse earlier today. Princeton beat Harvard 9-4.
Princeton ranked number 2 or 3 in the country right now.
There's a good battle.
That's
Virginia
right.
in the ACC edging Duke 12-11.
Both top 8 schools, both good lacrosse programs.
And the game that was played earlier here at Homewood, Dave Cottle's Loyola Greyhounds downed UMass, and Hobart over Penn State.
Hobart remains undefeated, and Loyola is 8-1 right now. Towson, they beat Yale. Towson still has to play Hopkins, a game that we will televise later this season.
Now, we should mention this is the first of 3 college lacrosse telecasts here on Channel 2. In a couple of weeks, we'll have Hopkins here at Homewood against Towson University, and then the following week, Hopkins travels just across the street to play Loyola College.
And both of those games are great local rivalries. Hopkins-Towson is always a heated battle. And then that game on May 2nd, which is the Hopkins-Loyola game, that really shapes up as a preview of the playoffs. And that'll be a great game. I think Loyola is going to win a couple ball games from here, and Hopkins looks very strong now. So mark that down, April 25th and May 2nd.
You look at the schedule coming up there. There's Towson against Hopkins. Talk about goaltending. Brian Carcaterra has only allowed 2 goals against a vaunted Maryland attack. He's had a lot of help from his defense, but he's made some solid saves.
14 saves and only 2 goals against. That is a great percentage. He came into this game at about 60%, but really 14 saves and 2 goals against is terrific. Healy's done a great job. 10 saves, a lot of close shots. If it wasn't for Kevin Healy making some big stops, Hopkins would be leading by more than 4 goals.
I want to tell you that with those 14 saves, Brian Carcaterra is now up to 289. He started 10th on the all-time Hopkins list. My broadcast partner here, Quint Kessenich, with 573 is second. How about Jonathan Marcus, 877? Has he recovered from that yet?
Marcus, poor Marcus. When he started all 4 years, and as a freshman, just just got bombarded by shots.
Let's go down now. Keith Mills standing by with Hopkins head coach Tony Seaman.
Yes, Scotty. Tony Seaman with me right now. And, Tony, you have to be real happy with the intensity, especially on the defensive end from your ball club in the first half.
Yeah, we're playing well. Carcaterra's playing real well. He's seeing the ball good, and we got to keep that up. 30 more minutes. Lacrosse is a long game, so we got to keep it going.
What did you tell your team at the half?
We just got it 0-0. We got to go out. We got to play as hard as we did in the first half, maintain good defense, and don't retaliate when they're cheap. And, let them make the penalties, and we got to cash in on the man up.
Yeah, it looks like you guys have done a good job curbing the emotion tonight. There's a huge crowd here. It's a big game, a big part of this game. Has that been a real plus for you guys, how you've controlled the emotion of this night?
Yeah, so far, but, it's 30 minutes to go.
Yeah.
It's only 30 over, so it's a long way to go. So we just got to keep it going that way.
Okay, head coach Tony Seaman of the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays, his team with a 4-goal advantage. When we come back, we'll face off with the second half live from Homewood Field. Stay with us.
This year, the 4th of July fireworks will mean senior tour action. Golf legends such as Irwin, Floyd, Trevino, and Rodriguez will be coming to the area for the inaugural State Farm Senior Classic, presented by First National Bank of Maryland. June 29th through July 5th at Hobbits Glen Golf Club. See your favorite stars shoot for the flag in special clinics, shootouts, and tournament calls. Tickets are limited. Call to order your tickets today. Proceeds benefit Maryland Special Olympics and other local charities.
A lot of industry experts told us that the passenger side was the best place to add a third door. We got still more advice insisting that the driver's side was the only logical choice. But as you can see, we let it all go right in one ear and out the other. Introducing the new Dodge Ram Quad Cab. The rules have changed.
Say you could go back to a moment ago. Say you could change something. Anything. Make better choices. More informed decisions. Say you could see things in a new way. Gain a new perspective. Then you learn the only real competition is yourself. The staff change the game.
Well, that's the first half work. Hopkins on top 6-2, but that's history now. It's a fresh second half, and momentum can change quick in this game, Quint.
It can, and this is a Maryland team that scored 21 goals last week against Navy. So a 4-goal lead in Lacrosse is really, at this stage of the game, is really inconsequential. You have 30 minutes. Maryland could easily reel off 8 or 9 quick goals.
And I'm glad Keith made it back, because I thought Coach Dick Adele was preaching to him like he was one of his players.
The big man was not happy, and I think he really meant to say vomit, not the other word that he used, but
puke.
This is live TV. Eric Whedon, Scott.
Yeah, right off the face-off. He controls, gets a shot. Loose ball in front. Sticks are down.
Scott, I think the sense on the field, everybody agrees that Hopkins is really taking it to Maryland. Maryland's got to pick up the intensity level, or they're in deep trouble.
Well, Maryland with a chance to make a statement here early in the third quarter, and that's what you want. You want to get on the board first when you're down 6-2.
And real important, Scott and Quinn, I think that Matt Hahn gets involved in the offense at the earliest opportunity. Quinn, correct me if I'm wrong. It's very doubtful they can win this game unless he can get on track.
Rule back behind the goal to Whipple. Comes near side to Hockstead.
Remember, Hahn is a kid who scored a point in 53 straight games. He has yet to score a goal or an assist tonight.
And he's really only had a couple of good looks.
This is Whipple. He's the playmaker trying to make something happen. Hopkins defense packing back in. And
Quinn, are they doing anything differently defensively tonight than they normally do, or just a great effort?
No, I think they're just doing a nice job on the ball, man-to-man defense.
You're seeing some of it
exactly, right there. That's a a great example of it. And what's that's allowed their defense to really stay at home, and they haven't had to slide and help out each other. When Maryland can get you out of position sliding, you're in trouble.
And a turnover and a big hit from behind draws a penalty as Rob Dorr.
Frank Radin took the brunt of that blow.
Frank Radin's taken a couple of shots tonight.
Take a look at
the replay. Hopkins attempting to clear. They turn the ball over. Radin picks it up, and he's absolutely leveled, destroyed from behind from Rob Dorr right here. Great angle right there.
Behind and high.
He loses his stick. Behind high.
Rob Dorr from Yorktown Heights, which has produced an army of college All-Americans throughout the course of time, Quint and Scott, and Rob Dorr, one of many in college lacrosse right now from Westchester County, New York.
Yeah, Carcaterra is a Yorktown product, as is Scott Marr, the Maryland assistant coach.
Carcaterra, may want to add, has two brothers. One played at Syracuse, was an All-American, and then another played at Towson for Carl Runk. Steve was an All-American in that fine team he had that nearly won the national championship, I believe.
Rule and Zeller out front. There's Whipple to the cutter, and a shot and a goal. That's what they were looking for. Matt Hahn, that's the guy Keith was talking about. They need to get him untracked, and that's a big goal for Maryland as they grab some momentum here early in the third quarter and cut the lead in half at 6-3.
Whipple to Hahn on the extra man. Two names that will live forever in Maryland lacrosse history. Whipple and Hahn will forever be linked, and here it is. Whipple to Hahn, straight overhand, beats Carcaterra over his shoulder. Beautiful shot. Here it is again, cutting right-handed.
Looked like Whipple got a step on Paul Lasore. Not a real good matchup for Hopkins right there. 21 goals this year to tie Scott Hochstead for the team lead.
He is so dangerous. He understands the way defense, they play him, and he just finds the seam in the zones, and he cuts so well, and he keeps it real simple.
And that extends Hahn's scoring streak to 54 games. He's scored every college game he's played in.
Amazing. And Brian Haggerty with a big face-off for Maryland, so the Terps trying to get back in this with some early momentum. And you can bet the ranch, Scott and Quint, that Dick Adele's message to his team at halftime was, wake up, fellas, and pick up your level of intensity. Looks like they have.
He may have rearranged some of the furniture in there.
And Hopkins has come out now, and they fouled Maryland twice. Eric Whedon will have a seat in the box for a minute for a late hit that occurred early on in that play. So now that's two mental errors for Hopkins. Rob Dorr ran over Radin. Now Whedon makes a bad check. And really Hopkins, because of those two errors, they're letting Maryland back in this ball game.
You can't give good teams extra opportunities, and that's what Maryland's going to have now. 12:45 to play in the third. The only goal here in the second half scored by Matt Hahn. It's 6-3.
Well, Scott, it's a great point. Lacrosse, like any other sport, basketball, a game of runs. You want to curve the run when you can, feed off the emotion when you can. And this Maryland team, an emotional team to begin with because of their coach, can't give them a crack to step through.
Bill Rule up top playing catch with Zeller. Over to Hanna behind the goal. Whipple near sides it to Hochstad. Now they start to run the offense inside. Whipple fires off the mark.
Yes, Scott, we've been hearing a lot of Bill Rule tonight. He also went to Boys Latin, was a teammate of Scott Hochstead at BL, played for Coach Bobby Schreiber. Again, Dick Adele just raiding the MSA or the MIAA conference right here in Baltimore.
Rule and Zeller up top, looking inside. Whipple down low, and I believe the defender got a piece of it.
Nice check by Hanna. Carcaterra had the ball, lost it.
And a shot in the goal. Bill Rule with that cannon shot of his went low, and it's a 6-4 game. Here come the Terps.
Another extra man goal, and that's a second chance opportunity. You can see Carcaterra upset at himself, but Billy Rule, Scott, you said it, he's got a cannon. Watch the velocity behind this shot. He plants, fires, and there's nothing you're going to do on that. Carcaterra just too late. That is a Randy Johnson.
Yeah, that's
a fastball right down the pipe, and you're not getting around on it.
Yeah, his trademark is a missile cannon shot. Bill Rule used a lot on extra man for that very situation. Man up, point of the attack, let it fly. And there's Haggerty again, Scott, number 26, with another big face-off. Momentum Maryland here.
And the Maryland fans making some noise. Whipple with a shot and a good save by Carcaterra. And a penalty marker's down.
Huge save by Carcaterra.
And another Hopkins foul. Paleologos is going to be called for a slash on the loose ball in front. Carcaterra went down to his knees to rob Whipple from close range. Now this is the third penalty for Hopkins so far in the second half. We haven't played them that much. Here's the slash coming up. You'll see Paleologos number 44. Actually, we missed it there. he had slashed
and
Maryland attacker.
This is trouble for Hopkins because Maryland tonight 3 for 3 when a man up. They haven't missed.
They haven't missed. There's Paleologos in the box. And this really makes it tough for you defensively. You get tired playing extra man down.
Absolutely. Paleologos, the D.C. Area Player of the Year in high school. His senior year at Georgetown Prep. Lives in Potomac.
6-on-5. Paleologos, one of the bigger people you're going to see playing this game.
Yeah, he is big. Down on the field is much bigger than he looks from up here.
6'5", 230 he's listed. Behind the goal, Whipple looking in front, and he couldn't connect. But the cutter coming hard to the ball was Brian Zeller.
Yeah, Scott, we saw Kevin Kaiser in the middle of that play. Quinn is having a solid year. Scored a goal earlier in the year. He's a quarterback in high school for Joe Bruce's football team, but given the extra man defense here.
Whipple in front. Zeller comes up with it. Left hands one. Loose in front and covered up by Carcaterra.
I'm not sure if Carcaterra made that save or Rob Dorr.
Yeah, Dorr actually had the stick on it.
Yeah.
You're right.
That is legal in lacrosse.
That is correct.
You can have 7 guys in the crease if you want.
You can have as many as you like.
Matt O'Kelly behind the goal. Comes out front to Hogan.
Boy, what a big defensive list right there, Scott, for Hopkins. Momentum clearly on Maryland's side with the extra man.
Hogan in front. Quick shot and the save. Healy stopped that one.
Godfrey runs it down, so Hopkins will retain possession and still technically on the extra man. Quinn? Or is that the penalty?
Actually, the penalty will not release because it was a slashing violation. So Hopkins now, they have 5 players on offense. Maryland has 6 on D. So Hopkins, they'll just look to kill a little clock here. And then Paleologos' penalty will be released.
Godfrey with it. In no hurry, as Quinn said. Comes up top to Hogan. And now both teams are at even strength. This is Marks with it. On top, Hogan. Looking inside. Now drives to the goal.
Good help that time by the Maryland defense. Hogan had a step.
A good look in front. Marks. Maryland defense in position. O'Kelly, a little bouncer in front, and it's controlled by Healy. Terps in transition. Hopkins giving him trouble. They wanted a slash call there, didn't get it.
Actually, I think he did get it.
Get it,
yeah.
okay.
It was a delayed call, that's right. The official way down the back end of the field made the call. So that'll be a slash against A.J. Hogan. So Hopkins again will be a man down.
And the clock is stopped. 9:52 left in the third quarter. Don't go anywhere. This is going to be a dandy. Hopkins 6, Maryland 4.
Can I get you something to drink?
Nobody wants to finish second. That's why Icon Office Solutions helps you compete better. With outsourcing, copier systems, networking, and software from premier partners like Microsoft, Canon, Ricoh, and Osei. Icon Office Solutions. Work to win.
In the field of healthcare, Hopkins Medicine stands out among the best. World-renowned as a pioneer and leader. In college sports, Hopkins Lacrosse is legendary. Recognized for its tradition of winning, pride, and success. In medical interface technology, one name stands out for excellence, innovation, and delivery of enterprise-wide solutions for medical imaging and informatics. Desjardins, a new world leader.
Defense for Hopkins. It's a 6-4 game as you look at the Hopkins bench. 9:52 left in the third. And the second half, Maryland has kind of dusted themselves up off the deck, and they're right back in this thing. Only 2 goals in the first half for the Terrapins.
And Bill Roll, number 4, back on extra man offense with that cannon.
Oh, Whipple couldn't control it, and it's an unforced error.
Major mistake there. Do not want to make a turnover like that, especially on the extra man.
Now Hopkins will attempt to clear. Remember, they have 10 seconds to get it out of their defensive box. And this is a tough clear because they don't have an extra man.
LeSueur bringing it up, gets double teamed, ball is loose. And out of the goal is Carcaterra with it.
But Quinn, you called it a 10-second violation, it looked like. And you called that one.
That's right.
Still, you waste another 10 seconds, though, that you're not on the extra minute.
Yeah, when you're shorthanded, it's very difficult to clear the ball.
See A.J. Hogan, number 12, waiting for the penalty to be killed so he can get back on the field. Right now, Hopkins with their best defensive players in the game. Here's a hard shot. And how did he miss that?
Oh, he rushed it. Scott Hockstedt, you can see right there, number 24, caught it and fired it right away. He had time and room. If he looked at the goal, I think he would have put that one away.
Whipple. Time and room, we hear a lot about that in a lot of sports, particularly this one. Time and room in hockey and lacrosse.
Great. Oh, hit the pipe. No good. Whipple from point-blank range. There's a shot and a goal by Bob Hanna.
The two guys who can light it up for Maryland are Rule and that man right there, Bob Hanna.
Left-hand shot from Hanna gets Maryland within a goal with 8:48 left.
Almost an instant replay of the earlier shot, and that's just high heat. Maryland got the ball zinging around. The Hopkins defense was caught out of position, swung it back up top to Hanna. Right there, you can see him plant and then just unload.
Scott Hanna, one of 4 Anne Arundel County players on the Maryland roster. I mentioned he went to Broadneck High School. Kevin Necessary went to Chesapeake. And 2 North County graduates, Chris Lamy and Chris Mangum from North Linthicum. And so not only is Dick Adele, is Brian Haggerty again with the faceoff. They did this against Virginia and scored right off the faceoff. Exact same kind of thing, Scott.
And they had a great shot at it that time, unable to put it away.
Maryland making all the plays right now.
Yeah, Maryland clearly with momentum.
3 unanswered goals here in the second half. It was 6-2 at the half. It's been all Maryland here in the third quarter.
Haggerty does a great job on that faceoff, pushing it forward to himself, and next thing you know, Maryland has a fast break.
Yeah, they did that twice in a row against Virginia, which really took control of the game for them.
Bill Rule trying to create some space. Good defense. And a penalty marker's down. Whedon.
Delayed call against Whedon coming up.
Free possession here for Maryland.
So until they lose possession, they are on the attack. Trying to tie it up the Maryland Terrapins. 8 minutes left in the third. And now the penalty will be assessed.
It's going to be a slash against Whedon. So he'll have a seat for a minute.
Interesting, guys. We came in talking about how good Hopkins was with the extra man, but it's been Maryland really taking advantage of it, and now they go to work again.
Right there, a blatant slash. You got Rule up around the shoulders. That was a potential cross-check right there. Watch the slash right here. Here it comes, whack.
Right on the back, yeah.
That's a check swing.
You're thrown in jail, you do that on the street.
And they see Whedon in the penalty area. And the extra man has been magnificent for the Terrapins.
Yeah, Scott, if you're Hopkins' defense, you have to be dragging. They played the entire third quarter on the defensive end of the field.
Whipple comes out on top to Zeller.
You know, Quint, does it take something like this to get their offense on track? A couple of free possessions like this to get their shooters some shots.
Whipple in, and he misses.
Looked like he hit the post.
Yeah, he hit the post and penalty markers down.
I think Matt Hahn maybe whistled for a penalty there. There's number 32.
That's so maybe a little makeup call there, but Hahn will have a seat. A lot of penalties all of a sudden. Hopkins has committed 4 violations in the second half alone.
Well, Keith,
but you made a good point, Keith. When you're on the extra man, it really tends to get your offense in the flow because they're zipping the ball around and they're really getting into it.
Yeah.
A lot of touches, and you just get that flow going, and it gives your defense a rest, and it's a great opportunity. Here's the foul.
Yeah, you just saw the slash on the arm.
The tail end right there, yeah.
Keith, Tony mentioned to you, well, we played well. We didn't get out of control in the first half, but we got another half to go here.
Absolutely. And against the fire
costly penalties, yeah.
Yeah, real costly penalties so far, Scott. Maryland's offense cannot get in any kind of sync here. They can't. Their best players are not on the field when Maryland has the ball.
So some rare action down on the east end. Hogan.
Again, that Reese-Hogan matchup, Scotty, which Quint pointed out. It's a big one.
And the ball is loose, and Maryland's up with it.
Reese wins that battle. Hogan stung him early, but Reese wins that one.
Trying to get it to Hockstedt. Can't control. Dives for it as it goes out of play right down by the Maryland bench.
Remember last year in the Final Four, Brian Reese stripped Casey Powell at the end of the game in the Syracuse-Maryland game, led to a goal. Maryland went on to win that. They eventually lost to Princeton in the national championship. But I remember that play. 30,000 people at Byrd Stadium stood like it was an Olympic marathon winner coming into the stadium.
They were going crazy. Reese actually has scored a goal in that game also. He likes to throw checks. He's what we call a takeaway defenseman. Very aggressive. He gets out there and plays you very aggressively, trying to take the ball away, as opposed to a positional defenseman who will just really try to block the cage and won't throw many checks.
Bailey with it. He missed the first 5 games of the year. Up on top to Hogan. This is Dixon. Fires. And it's controlled.
And Haley got a piece of that, Scott. A nice save.
Yeah. Nice save, especially since he has not seen much action in the past 8 minutes.
Yeah, you get stale, right?
Exactly. He's been sitting there really
monitoring his offense.
Yeah.
That's Chris Lamy. I mentioned he's 6'5" from North County High School.
You put that long stick in his hand and you got some reach.
A lot of players from that program are now playing in college lacrosse. The Ross boys down at Navy came out of there, and John Apelt and Paul Shea, the 2 coaches at North County, done a good job. I happened to had a chance, Chris Mangum, the other North County grad, I happened to play with their uncles in high school, tremendous high school football players. And my alma mater, Brooklyn Park, and Chris Mangum, same kind of an athlete. Doesn't play much because he's a freshman, as you see Kevin Healy barking out instructions. You can relate to that, goalkeeper Kessenich.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk that goes on in lacrosse. The goaltender really orchestrates and quarterbacks the defense. He tells the defenseman where to go and who to cover. We can't really hear much of it, but there's constant chatter among the defense.
This is Andrew Godfrey behind the goal. 6-5 game, 5.5 minutes left in the third quarter. Hopkins led 6-2 at the half. 3 Maryland goals, the only scoring in the second half. And the penalty marker goes down as Hogan gets back on his feet.
It's going to be on Reese.
Marks fires off the mark, and now they'll assess the penalty.
I believe, Quinn, it's going to be on Brian Reese.
That's right. Reese and Hogan again going at it.
It seems
Great
that Tony Seaman is really happy with that matchup and really willing to let Hogan try to wheel and deal.
There's going to be some kind of trip or maybe a push right there. But that's true. A lot of people would avoid Brian Reese. They'd say, okay, let's let someone else handle the ball and concede that matchup. But he has so much confidence, Tony Seaman does, in A.J. Hogan, his ability, that he thinks he can win that battle. So they're going head-to-head, which is great to see.
Absolutely. That's what the game's all about. One-on-one matchups in this game.
Dixon up on top, plays catch with Hogan.
The college lacrosse game so fast and quick as Hogan
couldn't unload. It looked like he was ready to fire and didn't have control.
The game's so quick that when you have a defensive midfielder like Reese that's so fast, it is an invaluable member of your defensive unit. Because he can take a midfielder out of the game.
Good look in front, shot off the mark. Matt O'Kelly.
Matt O'Kelly, Scotty, very opportunistic goal scorer. Doesn't take a lot of shots, but when he takes them, he's usually right on net.
That's right, 45% shooting percentage. And when Hopkins has the extra man, he plays very close to the cage in front, almost in an attack position.
4:44 left in the third. Hopkins 6, Maryland 5. Back right after this.
There's a lot of quality built into every Toyota Camry. Quality that starts right here with parts made for Toyota in Maryland and sent to Georgetown, Kentucky, where they're used to build Toyota Camrys, Avalons, and now Sienna vans. Other parts go to California, where Toyota Corollas and Tacoma trucks are built. Fact is, most Toyotas are made in the USA. With quality that starts in Maryland.
Here's my idea. Make it easy to buy a cell phone.
With this new cellular and DSS support zone, Best Buy is unstoppable, Ed.
You said it, Pat. Here we can see a customer being helped with his cell phone activation.
He's connected and ready to go.
Ooh, and this guy just made arrangements to have his DSS installed next Tuesday.
That's a great plan. Let's go down to Frank.
So what do you think of the new support zone?
It's great. Everything's in one place. It's really easy.
Well, there you have it. Helping you get connected the easy way. Best Buy. Now, that's a great idea.
There's a look at the Hopkins schedule coming up. You see the April 25th and May 2nd games. We'll have those for you at Channel 2.
Scott, we were just talking. Hopkins last week before the Villanova game was ranked 4th in the United States coaches poll, and now they dropped to 6th this week after Loyola's big win over Syracuse. Why, Quinn? How does that happen?
Well, obviously there's a lot of politics involved with polls, and I think when Hopkins played some lesser competition, Hartford and Villanova, some poll members said, hey, you're not playing great competition that week, so we're not going to value those wins.
Yeah.
Interesting. When it's all said and done, Hopkins will be ranked up there, and I'm really looking forward to that Towson game and that Loyola game, because Towson will fight Hopkins.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't care what Towson's record is, they will fight Hopkins, and Loyola has a terrific team this year.
And a loose ball out of bounds to the Terrapins.
Dave Connell has to be ecstatic. His team goes into the Carrier Dome last week, beats Syracuse, comes down today right here on this very field just a few hours ago in the Icon Classic, and wins another tough game against UMass. They will be a force to be reckoned with come tournament time.
That's right. This state could have 3 teams in the Final Four very easily. These 2 teams we're watching tonight and Loyola.
And the other thing, the top 4, of course, get that first round bye, and everybody's trying to position themselves for that.
Absolutely. And this year, the number 1 seed will be crucial, because I think the top 1 through 7 teams could probably win the national championship, Quinn. It's a big drop-off from Virginia 7 to Hobart or whoever 8 is.
That's right. It's really a free-for-all after that 7th spot.
Maryland in the offensive end, trying to tie this thing up. They trail 6-5, 3:35 left in the third quarter. Hopkins led 6-2 at the half, and Dick Adell was smoking.
He was not happy. I would have paid to be in the locker room at halftime as an observer.
Osberg and Malone back in to the goal down low and off the mark. Had a good opportunity there, but they just couldn't put it away.
Yeah, that was Hahn. He beat-tested the freshman. I'm thinking, oh, here we go. And little anxious on the trigger.
Hockstead trying to muscle in. Back behind the goal. See his strength fires too high.
Hockstead loves to come around the cage, drop his shoulder, and just lean in. And you can see Paleologos, number 44 for Hopkins, using that long stick.
Hey, Scott, our camera guys did a great job of really sensing the speed of that shot. I mean, it's on you in a minute.
Whipper just getting pushed back. Good defense. Tough angle there, and the save.
Open
net goal. Scott Hockstead has tied this game up with 2:45 left as the Terrapins celebrate the Hockstead score.
Whipple made the initial shot. You'll see Carcaterra make the save, and then watch him make a decision here to come out of his crease to try to scoop it. Right there, it's kicked to Hockstead, and the opportunist puts it in the empty net.
I don't know if Dorr got a stick on it or not. It looks like he might have. Looks like he might have even flicked it.
This is one.
Yeah. Dorr flicks it in front of the goal. Not a wise decision.
And Hockstead,
a freebie.
Watch him. He'll come from the middle of the field now, the right of the screen. He'll sneak in right there, and there he is. No one's on him, and the ball's in the back of the net. And we've got a new game. We're tied up at 6.
And the great ones know how to get the garbage goals. They're always on the doorstep waiting for stuff like that.
That's a great point, Scott. Dylan Schlott has a 4 or 5 goals like that this year for Hopkins, but none tonight. But Scotty Hockstead continues to burn the net for Maryland.
Well, and that's what makes Maryland's attack so tough. We talk about Hahn, his shooting ability. We talk about Whipple as the quarterback. But Hockstead's a guy who can do it all. He loves to dodge, and he's got a very fast shot. And that last play showed that he's got a nose for the goal also.
Whedon got stripped, and now Maryland has a chance to take the lead. Just over 2 minutes left here in the third quarter. Game is tied at 6. It's been all Maryland here in the second half. They've scored 4 unanswered goals.
Hockstead, one of 14 players that Dick Adell has recruited out of the A Conference here in Baltimore, arguably the best league in the country.
And Hockstead now has scored at least 2 goals in every game that Maryland has played this season, including this one.
And his brother, as we said earlier, Craig, heading to Maryland next year. So Dick Adell continues to bring the best players in Baltimore down to College Park.
Radin's shot goes out of play. Back to the Blue Jays.
Quentin, what does Hopkins have to do to jumpstart their offense? We talked about what Maryland had to do to start this half.
Well, possession time is killing them. Maryland has really controlled this third quarter because they've had the ball. Hopkins has fouled, and then Maryland has won all the faceoffs. So Hopkins, they've really got to get the ball on offense and work it around. We haven't heard from Dudley Dixon. I don't think we've called his name once in the second half.
Good point. Dixon Hasn't had many touches, as had Dylan Schlott or the talented midfield crew. Hogan has pretty much had every possession.
That's right. Every time it's been A.J. Hogan.
Carrier was after Marks, and now they come back up on top to Godfrey. Godfrey fires.
Probably a real good strategy there, Scotty. Get the ball in the hands of Godfrey. Let him try to create something like he did in the first half when he scored a goal and really got this game off to a good start for Hopkins.
Yeah, they're looking to isolate against number 37 for Maryland, Jeff Shirk, or number 31, Eric Osberg.
You may have noticed the little kids down at the end line. That's another Hopkins tradition here. They constantly are bringing the game to the kids and allowing them to be a part of this. Huge crowd, 10,000, the announced paid attendance tonight, 10,219.
This is A.J. Hogan. Hogan fires way high. Now to play a penalty marker down as Hogan went down after the shot.
Yes, Scotty, looked like Mike Bonani there. Outstanding defensive player, number 27. You see him pleading his case to the official. I guess Quinny, an illegal stick check there, I guess.
Yeah, watch it again. Once the shot is released right there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not so sure about that call. It wasn't up to the head. Bonani, the ref right there, make the call. But Bonani's really known for those type of hits. He loves to slide from the middle of the field and help out. He's very physical. He was a great high school football player.
At DeMatha, yeah.
That's right.
He broke his leg in 3 places last year. They said, you'll be out at least 8 weeks. He said, He was back in 5.
A coach's dream.
Yeah. 2-time captain for Dick Adele.
A very underrated player.
Smart kid, too. He's actually getting his master's right now.
There's Dixon. His shot knocked down.
So it looked like it hit it hit Chris Lamy, number 20, in the back.
Bailey controls back behind the goal. In front, down low, and a good save. I believe he got a piece of that one, Kevin Healy.
Yeah, that ball was just flying low on the AstroTurf, and it looked like it hit Healy in the foot. We've got 4 seconds to go here in the quarter.
So Healy looked like he anticipated that really well.
Yeah, when a player drops his stick down to the turf like that, as a goalie, you've got to respect it and get yourself low also.
And you also have a little bit of time, too, because it takes a little longer to do that.
And that's going to do it for the 3rd quarter. So hang on. We've got 12 minutes of lacrosse left. Hopkins 6, Maryland 6. Should be a dandy of a 4th quarter.
It's about time and finding faster ways to take new ideas from drawing board to reality. It's about the search for methods to make machinery last longer or make a long drive seem shorter. It's about making time to look beyond the obvious. And most of all, about taking time to listen. All things change through time. Cars, trucks, and a company.
We all know how a dog reacts when he sees something he really likes. Unexpectedly, I've noticed the same behavior on this young man.
I can't control my arm! Dog! I can't control my arm!
Can you turn this into something good?
Can someone help? Does someone here know they have minutes to save his life?
He's in the car. He can't talk and his arms and legs aren't moving.
When did this all happen?
All right, let's get it, Bernie.
It's going to be okay.
When it's something serious, make sure you go to a Helix emergency room. Franklin Square, Harbor, Good Samaritan, Church, Union Memorial.
Lacrosse players everywhere here tonight, Quint.
Yeah, that's Sasha Newmarch of the University of Maryland women's team, an All-American in her own right. Actually, she's from Australia, and she came here to the States to play lacrosse, and she's certainly one of the best.
They've had a little bit
around.
of success down there.
Oh, yeah. Three NCAA titles in a row for Cindy Timchol.
And a good save right in front by Kevin Healy.
Oh, Dylan Schlott has got to think, man, give me that shot back.
In the first half, it seemed like Maryland was the team missing the cage. Now in the second half, the Hopkins, their calibration of their shots is a little off.
Well, when you have a tendency to press a little bit, Quint, you don't have a tendency to react as much. You think a little bit more than just going out and playing.
Hogan with the left hand, bounces it in front. Bailey.
I think Bailey might have touched that, didn't
he? He did, but the ref, it's basically still a shot unless a player, unless the impetus of the ball is changed by the player. So basically the ref ruled, it's a judgment call, but that was still a shot and not a pass.
Bailey off and Godfrey back in. Tied at 6. We're in the fourth quarter.
Teams at even strength now. Game is, you brought up a good point. Game has slowed considerably since the pace in the second quarter. Looks like these two teams now, again, feeling each other out for the stretch run.
That was the 5th shutout quarter Maryland has turned in. There's a goal. A.J. Hogan with a bouncer. And Hopkins back on top, 7-6.
Hogan's got the hat trick. His 3rd goal in a row for Hopkins. Hopkins did not score in the 3rd quarter. Hogan scored too late in the 2nd quarter. Here it is again. Watch the change of direction right there. Fakes Reese to his right, comes back to the far side, and beats Healy low. Again, there it is.
Chris Lamey, a little slow coming over.
That's right, and the help wasn't there. Lamey slow with the long stick. He reached out to get him, but a beautiful move by Hogan, who we saw go left-handed a couple times in this game, and there's the versatility that I talked about earlier. Fakes to his left, Reese overplays, and he cuts back to his right.
So the hat trick for Hogan, an unassisted goal, gives the Blue Jays the lead. 13:57 left. And a legal procedure will give it to the Blue Jays.
Eric Weed, number 3, Long Island Football Player of the Year, senior year in high school. A.J. Hogan from Long Island, also a member of the U.S. National 19 and under team when he was
coming out of school. High school quarterback in his own right.
He has a 6-game streak now with at least 3 points in all those 6 games. Blue Jays on top by a goal. That broke that run that Maryland had in the 3rd quarter.
18 goals, Scott, high for a midfielder. Would you say, Quint?
Oh, yeah.
In the course of the season?
I rate him as the top, definitely in the top 5, if not the top 1 or 2 midfielders in the whole country. In the past couple weeks, the Syracuse, North Carolina game, and now the Maryland game, he has really stood out.
Here's Dixon, fires. Battle, there's a shot in front and a score. Wide open was Dylan Schlott after the Dixon shot, and he put it in the far right-hand corner.
That's a great play by Justin Chamberlain. He really made that play. Quint, take it from here.
That's right, Keith. He dug it out for his teammate. There he is. He kind of flips it over his shoulder, knowing that Schlott is uncovered. Healy had come out to check Chamberlain, much like we saw Carcaterra do the same play earlier. Here it is again. There's a rebound right there. Chamberlain pops it over his shoulder. I'm not sure if they're going to give him an assist on it.
Oh, he has to. I would think,
yeah. That's an amazing. It's how he knew the player, his teammate was there. I don't know, because there's no
great play.
Well, like that, I guess you know you want to get it in front of the goal.
That's right.
And hope a teammate's there.
And Dylan Schlott in the right place at the right time. Everything going his way this season. 2 goals tonight.
Well, we talked about
there's Haggerty on goal.
The runs in this game, and a big run by Hopkins, and then 3rd quarter was owned by Maryland, and now Hopkins with 2 unanswered goals in the 4th.
You know, Dylan Schlott went to Gilman, as we know. He dates the daughter of Mercer Neal, who is the headmaster at Boys Latin. Dylan has a dog, a big dog. Don't know what kind of dog it is. I was at BL last Monday doing a story on a high school player, Jason Leno, and Dr. Neal had Dylan's dog. He's a part of the institution over there at Boys Latin. So who said Boys Latin and Gilman
don't get along?
Aren't friends?
That's a great rivalry.
Interesting.
Leno's quite a story. Perfect attendance.
Yeah, Jason Leno headed to Virginia. We'll see his story this week on our Toyota Prep Profile. But boy, Boys Latin, Quint and Scott can just crank out the players.
And Maryland trying to get something going now, trailing 8-6.
Seems like whoever has control of the ball, whoever's really owning the time of possession, is the team that gets on the run here. And that makes sense. And that, therefore, face-offs and goaltending, I think, are going to be the 2 keys as we get down the stretch.
Big possession for Maryland here.
Maryland with a shot that's knocked down. Terps trying to control. Chasing after it is Osberg. Hopkins comes up to it. They play it back to Carcaterra.
Tested, did a great job scooping that ball.
Look at him go.
And then shielding his stick. He was surrounded by Maryland players. I don't know how he got the ball back to Carcaterra.
And Scott, we'll see Maryland's Hopkins' #1 midfield of Godfrey, O'Kelly, and Hogan back on the field. Boy, Tony Seaman-Quint is just laying these guys out there every possession right now on the offensive end.
They've got to be tired.
Yeah, they played pretty much this entire game.
Hey, it's Maryland.
It's Maryland.
It's Maryland, right?
Absolutely. They're not a time to
a lot of adrenaline.
A lot of adrenaline, a lot of pride. This is a pride game. You can bet the ranch that the alumni in the stands right here are 99.9% Maryland and Hopkins.
O'Kelly with it, draws the double team. Looks to the middle, and Schlatt got a stick on it, but couldn't really control it.
Good play from Hogan.
By Hogan, yeah. This is Godfrey through heavy traffic. He scores. Andrew Godfrey just split through the Terrapin defense and fired in the 9th goal of the game for the Blue Jays.
What a great effort. Quick switched hands, it looked like, in mid-drive, and that really threw Kevin Haley off.
He is just such a super athlete. Left, back to his right. Handles the second Maryland defenseman that came so quickly. Here it is, left-handed to his right, and you'll see the defender coming to the screen right there, and he lets it go on the run with perfect accuracy. I mean, that is a sensational play by Godfrey. Here it is. He sensed that the Maryland defense was kind of spread out and just attacked right towards the front of the cage.
Scott, for the many young players out there, if you can do that, if you can switch hands and you can be a threat both ways, you will make your coach extremely happy.
That is very, very difficult, especially when there's not much time to do it.
It's like a switch hitter in baseball. You're 2 players in 1.
Carcaterra gets some pressure from Whipple, and the Jays get it across midfield.
The freshman Brendan Shook again.
Yeah.
Started earlier in the year, Scott, then hurt himself, and Brandon Shook, the other freshman.
Good battle for the loose ball there. And Shook better be careful.
Yeah, not something you want to do
to the official.
Yeah, you got to realize they have a 3-goal lead here. Let's not lose your head. Let's not take yourself out of a good situation.
Jeff Burnham from Maryland, number 19, did a good job there, turning the ball, getting Shook to turn it over. Very tough to shield that long stick. A defensive stick is great when you're on the defensive end, but when you have the ball in your stick, it's very tough to protect it from opponents.
Crossfield pass went to Reese.
Quinn, how long has the long pole been in lacrosse? Any idea? The long stick?
Defensemen have always used longer poles. Back in the 1930s and 40s, they started using longer poles. But when the stick went to plastic and synthetic, the long stick became more of a weapon because it was light.
Interesting.
Used to be very heavy like an axe.
Interesting.
Clock stopped. 10:14 left. Hopkins has scored 3 unanswered here in the 4th quarter, and they lead 9-6.
Can I get you something to drink?
Nobody wants to finish second. That's why Icon Office Solutions helps you compete better. With outsourcing, copier systems, networking, and software from premier partners like Microsoft, Canon, Ricoh, and Osei. Icon Office Solutions. Work to win.
Now you can enjoy the exotic beauty of tropical fish without the exotic price. Come to the Aquarium Center, Maryland's largest discount aquarium store. The Aquarium Center, with over 550 centrally filtered tanks brimming with healthy, fresh, and saltwater fish. The Aquarium Center, offering a premier selection of aquariums from beginner to advanced, and all at warehouse prices. The Aquarium Center, 9000 block Liberty Road, just 3 1/2 miles west of Beltway Exit 18 in the Randallstown Plaza.
Hopkins with a 9-6 lead, 10:14 left in the 4th quarter. Scott Garceau, Keith Mills, and Quint Kessenich with you from Homewood Field.
Scott, we've been talking a lot about the history of the game. Maryland has its share of All-Americans. Frank Urso, Doug Radaball. Boy, the list goes on and on. First game I ever saw was here, Maryland. Hopkins. Frank Urso had 3 goals, and he was the best player I'd ever seen until Petramall and Gary Gate. Phenomenal player.
Is Shaverly with it.
Of course, those same teams for Hopkins had Franz Wittelsberger and Mike O'Neill and Rick Kowalczyk.
Those Maryland Hopkins games in the 70s,
unbelievable.
Were just battles. Great games.
Right on through. I mean, it's been a tremendous series.
When does time become a factor, Quint? 9.5 minutes left?
Time becomes a factor, I think, with about 3 minutes to go. And under 4 minutes.
Scott, we did a game here a few weeks ago, Syracuse and Hopkins. Syracuse had a 1-goal lead with 4 minutes left and ran the clock out.
Right in front, a shot and a score by Andrew Godfrey. And Hopkins is really taking control now.
Actually, I think it was Dylan Schlott, shot number 8, his third of the day. And Quint.
Watch him catch this ball with pressure. He's got 2 Maryland defenders all over him and manages to catch that ball. He's got great hands for a big guy.
And he showed a lot of strength to fight through that stick.
Exactly. He turns, shields his stick with his body, and faces the cage, and Healy's got no shot. I mean, that is a sensational catch.
Connor had
traffic.
his stick in his throat.
It was wedged in his neck. Actually, both players had their sticks crossed. But there he is, Dylan Schlott with a hat trick. And you can see the way Hopkins really forced the ball inside him, much like in basketball, you'll get it down to your center. Just get it down to your center. He may be covered, but he's going to turn for that little jump shot. And if he's good, like Kareem, exactly, he's going to do that fadeaway hook.
That's a great point.
Schlott's second goal here in the fourth quarter gives him the hat trick. And more important, a 4-goal lead for the Blue Jays as they try to knock off undefeated and #1 ranked Maryland.
Difficult task for Maryland right now. You know, we were talking again, and I didn't know this till last year, as Maryland,
and there's a turnover.
Throws it away. Roy Simmons, the head coach of Syracuse, perennially nationally ranked national championship contender, was telling me that Hall of Famer, Colts tight end John Mackey was a lacrosse player at Syracuse. Of course, we've heard Jim Brown and Joe Ehrman, who still lives here in Baltimore. Now, can you imagine John Mackey barreling down at you? The old number 88 with a stick in his hand.
stick?
Oh, my. They played for Roy Simmons Sr., the outstanding coach at Syracuse before Roy Jr. And you have to think, Quint, Hopkins, Maryland, Syracuse, Princeton, all legitimate national championship contenders again. Loyola now has surfaced. Should be a great run through the middle of April and the end of May.
8:20 to play, 10-6. Hopkins is on top. They were tied going into the quarter. Shot up front. Rebound. Schlott battling for it. Behind the goal. Body's flying, and it's actually hung up in the net.
Oh, it was stuck in the net. Healy was having problems with it. It was looking like he was trying to flip a pancake or something.
Like he was crabbing there.
Yeah, and couldn't come up with the ball.
Pascalina for Maryland. Off to Hochstadt.
Boy, we mentioned this a minute ago. Game of runs and streaks, and Maryland had a streak where it looked like they were going to take control, and Hopkins just kind of answered it.
Yeah, the second quarter, Hopkins had a 3-goal run, and then the third quarter was all Maryland with a 4-goal run, and now the fourth quarter is again Hopkins with a 4-goal run.
Whipple stripped. He hits the deck. And it's going to be Hopkins' ball.
Guys are...
No, wait a minute.
Sorry, Scott.
Hogan hustling over there.
Yeah, guys are looking for bodies now.
And that's not typical of A.J. Hogan. That shows you the emotion that these players are playing with.
A lot of frustration on the Maryland part, so you got to really be careful here if you're an official about things getting out of hand physically.
Game's still within reach for Maryland. Absolutely. With 4 goals, they can score. With their face-off man, they can score 2 goals in 8 seconds.
Zeller couldn't control.
Not like that.
Hopkins trying to dig it out. A big hit.
Schlott was never going to down you with his footwork, but does right there.
There's Dixon hustling behind the goal.
Good hustle from Schlott that time.
Great play. You can see he got decked down to the turf, got up, fought to get the ball back.
You don't see the attackmen up by the midfield area too often fighting for balls like that. It's very uncharacteristic.
There's a shot and a save as Healy
stopped his neighbor on that guy.
That's right.
Scotty Connor Denahan, next door neighbors on Long Island.
He had the scouting report on that one.
Twice now he has.
Zeller gives it off to Hahn.
You know, I asked Kevin Healy a couple of weeks ago when we were down at College Park, who plays the best lacrosse? He said, absolutely, Long Island. No question about it. Not enough pretty boys in Long Island, was his exact quote.
Kaiser brought it up, did the work. Marks with it now.
Well, Scott, Kevin Kaiser's done that all year. Been a great transition, long stick midfielder for the Blue Jays and really helped out in that clear situation.
He's one of those blue-collar guys.
That's
He's
what
working, right?
They've had 3 seniors, I think, that really improved their game this year. One being Marks, Schlott, and Kevin Kaiser. Those are 3 guys who didn't play very much in their first 3 years, but this season they've all improved, and they've been all playing very well.
Under 6 minutes left now. It's 10-6 Hopkins. Really tied going into the fourth quarter.
Really have to give credit to Brian Volker, the defensive coordinator for Hopkins. Other than that 4-goal stretch, his team really done a solid job on the attack for Hopkins.
Hogan in front, and the shot taken there by Schlott.
And you can see Benani coming in late with the hit against Schlott, number 27 from Maryland. Really the enforcer, the predator inside for the Terrapins. Loves to hit, loves to throw the body around.
Quinn, how important is it that you have a guy like that, particularly tournament time?
I think it's important. I think you need someone on the interior of your defense who's going to be physical, who's going to make a hit like that, so next time Dylan Schlott gets the ball passed to him, he might drop it. People forget how physical and how violent lacrosse can be, especially in the crease area. It's almost identical to hockey. It's really a free-for-all inside, and being physically imposing is very important.
Marks in front, Schlott taken down.
Scott looked like Jason Carrier, number 48, who hasn't played much, got a stick on that one.
And there's a call as Schlott got knocked down. Hopkins will have the ball.
Look at the domination shots this quarter. Hopkins out shooting Maryland 12-3, and that was really after being thoroughly outplayed in the third quarter.
Now the clock is stopped. Timeout on the field. 5:06 left to play. The Terrapins running out of time. It's Hopkins 10, Maryland 6.
Bobby Martino, you were